Chapter 33-43. Oh. We're already in such a predicament and we still have a chance of survival? Hearing this, Little Seven asked in surprise. He could not think of a way to deal with this situation. There were too many pirate skulls in front of them, so many that it made their hair stand on end. No matter what, they could not kill them all. Our chance of survival is the ancient coffin in my hands. Now that we're in such a predicament, we can only take it out. As for what will happen after the seal is opened, we'll leave it to fate. It's better to take a gamble than to admit defeat. While Night Sorrow was resisting the pirate skull's attacks, he took out the ancient coffin from the space. He placed it in front of him to block the attacks of thousands of pirate skulls. Now that things had developed to such a state, he could only pin his hopes on the ancient coffin in front of him. He hoped that after the seal was opened, he could enter it to save his life. Then, Deputy Dean Ji Xian would save him. This was the only way Night Sorrow could think of. With the pirate skull's attacks, the seal on the ancient coffin became more and more loose. In the end, the seal on the ancient coffin was completely opened. A large amount of dark aura was released from the ancient coffin. It gave off a very violent feeling of power. The seal is open. This is a good chance. Night Sorrow, let's think of a way to enter. Seeing that the ancient coffin's seal was completely opened, Little Five immediately reminded him. If Night Sorrow died, they would also sink into this dark world. Naturally, they were very anxious. I know. I've been waiting for this moment. Whether we live or die, it all depends on this. As he spoke, Night Sorrow prepared to open the ancient coffin's lid and hide in it. However, at this moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded from the void. Now is not the time for you to open it. Who is it? Hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately looked over. He realized that the one who spoke was a half-step to Supreme Class Skull. This half-step to Supreme Class Skull had a very strong aura. It was at least a half-step to Supreme Class Stage 2. It might even be a Stage 3. He immediately became alert and prepared to fight with his life. Don't misunderstand. My master wants to see you, not to kill you. This half-step to Supreme Class Skull saw that Night Sorrow was about to fight with his life and immediately explained, if we really wanted to kill you, you would have become a pile of bones like those giant crocodiles. How could you survive until now? Your friends wouldn't be able to escape. Do you really think you're invincible? Who's your master? Hearing this, Yishang pondered for a moment and realized that this was indeed the case. Although the pirate skulls had been besieging him, it was indeed strange that none of them had managed to land the finishing blow. Logically speaking, with so many pirate skulls that, even if he had copper skins, he would have been broken. All of this proved that although the skeletons were attacking him, they did not intend to kill him. I'll see it. Come with me. Do you have any objections? The half-step Supreme Class Pirate Skeleton said in a cold tone. Do you think I have any other choice now? Night Sorrow asked helplessly and flew towards this half-step to the Supreme Class Pirate Skull. At this moment, the other skulls were distancing themselves from them. Of course you have a choice. You can choose to doubt and open the ancient coffin in your hands. The half-step to the Supreme Class Pirate Skull said faintly. I can feel that you're not lying. Night Sorrow said and asked, how does your master know about me and why does he want to see me? I can only tell you that my master is someone you know. The half-step to the Supreme Class Pirate Skull said and did not say anything else. Night Sorrow asked a few more questions, but the other party did not speak, so he did not say anything else. However, he kept guessing who this familiar person was. After a casual guess, Night Sorrow was shocked. He thought to himself, could this familiar person be the Leakin Supreme? Could the master he's talking about be the skull of the Leakin Supreme? The more he thought about it, the more Night Sorrow felt that it was possible. After all, the other party was someone who could make the half-step to the Supreme Class Pirate Skull submit to him. I didn't expect that there would be a silver lining. Since the other party is someone you know, he shouldn't want to kill you, right? Maybe he's looking for you to do something or catch up. At this moment, little 5 said with some relief. Just now, he and little 7 had been in complete despair. Whether it's a blessing or a curse is still uncertain. Even if it's someone I know, he's turned into a pirate skull. As Night Sorrow replied, he made all sorts of guesses in his heart. However, he did not gain anything. He could only follow the other party and keep moving forward. After walking beside the half-step to the Supreme Class Pirate's skull for a while, Night Sorrow flew back to the Celestial Crocodile's lair. He saw the other half-step to the Supreme Class Pirate's skull. The pirate's skull looked at Ishan with eyes that burned with will-o'-the-wisps and said, "You're too slow. Hold on to me, I'll fly you." "Okay." Night Sorrow responded and grabbed a bone from the pirate's skull behind him. Under its lead, he flew towards the lair that was too slow. About 3 days later, he followed the 2 half-step to the Supreme Class Pirates to the lair of many pirate skulls. This was a deserted star gathering place with 4,000 to 5,000 deserted stars scattered around. The 2 half-step to the Supreme Class Pirates brought Night Sorrow to the void outside the deserted star in the center. One of them said, "My master is on the star in front. Go look for him." "Okay." Night Sorrow glanced at the star and did not say anything. He slowly flew towards the star. When Night Sorrow's body landed on the deserted star, a voice immediately sounded in his mind. "Good friend, long time no see. Not the Leakin Supremacy. Who are you?" Hearing this voice, Night Sorrow immediately determined that the other party was not the Leakin Supremacy and asked doubtfully. And this voice did indeed give him a sense of familiarity. "Hee. Come in through the passage in front of you. You'll know who I am when you see me." After this voice finished speaking, a huge black hole appeared in front of Night Sorrow's eyes. Night Sorrow did not hesitate and walked straight through the black hole. After passing through the black hole, he immediately appeared in a huge space. This was a world filled with resplendent starry skies. It was a stark contrast to the ruins of the outside world. It looked like a new world. "You're right. This is a world born from the heart. I'm also a new person." At this moment, a figure slowly walked over from afar and stepped in front of Night Sorrow. Seeing this figure, Night Sorrow's eyes widened. He said in disbelief, "It's you. It's actually you." Chapter 33-44. Night Sorrow's voice was trembling. When he saw this figure, he was so excited that he almost cried. Because this figure was Yen Hengshi. At this time, his aura seemed to have just been reborn, but he was still at the Supreme Venerable level. Even more excited than Night Sorrow was the Eternal Divine Tower. After discovering Yen Hengshi's rebirth, it immediately became excited and spoke one after another. At this time, Yen Hengshi's figure sighed and said, "I'm very happy to see an old friend. I didn't expect that you have already gathered around Night Sorrow. This should be the will of the heavens. He is the destined person of the Eternal Supreme Realm. Senior? What's your situation now?" Night Sorrow asked excitedly. At this time, Yen Hengshi's aura was obviously beyond the half-step Supreme Realm. He was obviously at the Supreme Venerable level. This was the first time he had seen a living Supreme Venerable. He felt very shocked. "The planet in front of us is made of my skull. After I fell, Supreme Venerable Dan sealed my skull in this endless sea of stars. He turned it into energy for countless pirate skeletons." After Yen Hengshi finished speaking, he continued, "However, before I fell, I did something to my skull. After many years of precipitation, I finally found a chance to recover while the 3 of them were hibernating. However, the me in front of you is not completely Supreme Venerable. It's just that I have the soul of a Supreme Venerable, but not the body. If you want to completely recover, you need to gather all the bones in your body." "Senior, do you mean that you want me to help you find the lost bones?" Night Sorrow immediately asked. He cultivated the power of merit and used the eye of the Mirage Dragon to confirm that the Yen Hengshi in front of him was not fake. "This is one of the reasons. But let's talk about it later. In fact, I still have a few things to tell you. Don't worry, listen to me slowly. Yan Hengsher's soul said and continued, the first thing is that in your current state, if the three supreme venerables appear, you will be seen through immediately. At that time, what awaits you will be more terrible than death. So I will teach you a set of mental cultivation methods first. Fog breathing method. This is what I have comprehended in the endless sea of stars in recent years. Fog breathing technique? Upon hearing this, Night Sorrow asked with a puzzled expression, if I practice this mist breathing technique, I can continue to hide my identity from the three supreme monarchs? Yes. This fog breathing technique was extremely mystical. If you can fully grasp it, even if you stand right under the nose of those three supreme venerables, you won't be discovered. Yan Hengsher's soul body said, and then recited the incantation one paragraph after another. After he finished reciting all 10 paragraphs, he said, cultivate right here. If nothing unexpected happened, they would wake up soon. Those three bodies weren't destroyed. After they woke up, they were all complete supreme beings. Yes, Senior. Night Sorrow was very respectful to Yan Hengsher and Yen Yen. After memorizing the 10 sections of the mental cultivation method, he sat down and began to cultivate. It took him about 7 days to completely master the breathing technique. Haha. The child of destiny of my eternal supremacy world is truly talented. He had mastered it so quickly. From today onwards, whenever you have time, you will practice this mist breathing technique. In less than a year, you will be able to completely change your aura so that no one will be able to detect any clues. Yan Hengsher said and continued, but your friends have to be transferred out of the endless sea of stars. If they are here, you will also be exposed. Although they can also learn this breathing technique, they will definitely not be as fast as you. You can deceive a half-step supreme realm, but you can't deceive those three. However, the advantage is that they can use this mist breathing technique not only to hide their identity, but also to cultivate normally in the fog area without losing their minds. Senior's breathing technique is really amazing. Night Sorrow, on behalf of the people of the two realms, thank you, Senior. After Night Sorrow got up, he bowed to Yan Hengsher. This mist breathing technique, to him and the people of the two realms, was simply a godlike existence. As long as they could master this breathing technique, they would not need to be afraid of being exposed. They could also cultivate normally and no longer need to rely on the power of merit. This was simply heaven-defying. Two realms? Which one is there? Is it reliable? You have to know that this has a lot of implications. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yan Hengsher immediately asked solemnly. And the people of the eternal ancient barren world? The cultivators there are now on the same side as us. Night Sorrow immediately told him about the eternal ancient barren world from beginning to end. Hearing this, Yan Hengsher said, I believe in your judgment. But the human heart is not immutable. If you teach them the mist breathing technique, you must pay attention to monitoring. If there are any accidents, immediately cut off the trouble. Yes, Senior. I will nip the danger in the bud. Night Sorrow replied. He knew that Yan Hengsher's worries were not without reason. That's all for now. Yan Hengsher stopped this matter and continued, as for the second matter, I have collected a lot of star ruin milk here. After absorbing this star ruin milk, not only can it increase one's cultivation, but it can also strengthen one's body. It also allows you to summon the power of the star ruin. I don't have a body now, so hurry up and absorb this. After saying this, Yan Hengsher pointed to a deep pool in the space. As he pointed, the originally dim pool water in the deep pool suddenly bloomed with endless starlight. The starlight bloomed out and Yan Hengsher said, Night Sorrow, you are the hope of the eternal supreme world. Go and absorb as much as you can. You can only come here once and you can't take the things away. Absorb as much as you can. Yes, Senior. In front of Yan Hengsher, Night Sorrow did not ask too much. He directly followed the instructions and dived into the deep pool to absorb the star ruin milk. As soon as he dived in, Night Sorrow felt an extremely manic energy crazily drilling into his body. It made his cultivation increase uncontrollably. No need to absorb it, just like this. If you absorb it, your cultivation will definitely increase faster. Feeling the manic energy of the star ruin milk, Night Sorrow immediately absorbed a large amount of it. As he absorbed, the light in the deep pool gradually became restrained. Night Sorrow's cultivation and the strength of his body also increased crazily. Looking at Night Sorrow, Yen Hengshi sighed and said, "There is no need to mention your talent, but your cultivation is still a little low. However, if you can advance to the half-step Supreme Realm within 10,000 years, the Eternal Supreme World still has a chance." Otherwise. Master, otherwise what? After Yen Hengshi finished speaking, the Eternal Divine Tower floating in the void asked through voice transmission. "No need to call me Master, we are all friends. In addition, in the future, you can follow Night Sorrow with peace of mind. He is the hope of the Eternal Supreme World." Yen Hengshi responded but did not answer the Eternal Divine Tower's question. Chapter 33:45. We will help him well. After Yen Hengshi finished speaking, Little Five looked at Night Sorrow, who was cultivating in the star ruin milk again. At this moment, Night Sorrow's surroundings were constantly flickering with light that shot into the sky. If not for the suppression of the small world, it would have already broken through the void and formed a huge pillar of light. After observing for a while, Little Five said, "After a long time together, we have a lot of confidence in Night Sorrow. We believe that he has the ability to do anything. It feels good to see hope with my own eyes. However, when those three people come out, they might already be existences at the same level. No matter how much of a genius Night Sorrow is, he might not be able to compete with them." Yen Hengshi looked at Night Sorrow with gratification and continued, "If I'm not wrong, they have been in seclusion for so long not only to recover from their injuries. They are also trying to break through to a higher level." A higher level? Are the three of them going to break through the extreme realm and enter a new level? Hearing this, Little Five was surprised. Breaking through to the extreme realm has always been their hope. Otherwise, they would not have come to the fog area back then. After saying that, Yen Hengshi continued, "However, I'm not sure. The extreme realm is not so easy to break through. They should have only advanced a small level in the extreme realm. When they fought with us, they were at the 5th level of the extreme realm. There are a total of 9 levels in the extreme realm. I wonder how strong they will be after coming out of seclusion. They were at the 5th level of the extreme realm in the past. In the future, even if Night Sorrow advances to the extreme realm, the gap between them and him will be huge." Little Five said in surprise. He was even more worried about the future of the Eternal Supreme Realm. As long as they don't die too quickly, there will be a chance. I'm only worried that Night Sorrow will not be able to take the blow from certain aspects and choose to die together. Yen Hengshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. He knew a lot of things, but he could not tell the Eternal Divine Tower for the time being. After all, the Eternal Divine Tower was a divine weapon. If the 3 Supreme Venerables obtained it, they would not be able to keep it a secret, so he could not tell them. He was prepared to tell Night Sorrow everything later. Just as Yen Hengshi and Little Five were talking, Night Sorrow's aura rose again. Then, with a flash of brilliance, he successfully advanced from a lower heavenly sovereign to a middle heavenly sovereign. After successfully advancing, the lightning tribulation immediately condensed in the void. However, under the bombardment of the lightning tribulation, Night Sorrow did not leave the astral ruin milk. Instead, he absorbed the astral ruin milk while using the lightning tribulation to increase the strength of his body. A few days passed just like that. By the time the lightning tribulation body descended, Night Sorrow's body had already grown to an extremely terrifying level. Without using divine essence energy at all, just using the strength of his body, he directly defeated the lightning tribulation energy body. Haha. Good, very good. Other than Mia, I've never seen anyone else with such a strong body. Yen Hengshi praised Night Sorrow after he successfully passed the tribulation and became a true middle heavenly sovereign. Is Mia Ji-Zun's body that strong? Night Sorrow asked when he heard this. Yes. Mia majored in slaughter, so his body's toughness was abnormal. He didn't major in flames, so even I don't know what his true form is. Dan is good at refining equipment and refining pills. The three of them complement each other very well. Yen Hengshi said slowly. Then, he continued, you continue to cultivate and absorb all the astral ruin milk. It's useless for me to absorb it anymore. I'd better leave some for myself. Night Sorrow looked at the remaining astral ruin milk and refused. He could feel that if he continued to absorb it, there would be no effect. All right then. I'll leave this for other fated people. Yen Hengshi nodded. The third thing. I want to tell you about the three Supremes. Night Sorrow is all ears. Hearing the words, three Supremes, Night Sorrow immediately concentrated. Then, Yen Hengshi transmitted his voice, we have lived in this world for far too long. Later, the three of them left the Eternal Supreme World and came to the foggy area for power. Their goal was to break through the Supreme Realm and enter a new realm. They wanted to see if they could leave this world under the new realm. During the last battle, they were all at the 5th level of the Supreme Realm. Now, they should have improved a little. They should not be far from the 9th level of the Supreme Realm. The Supreme Realm is divided into 9 levels? Yi Shang asked via voice transmission. He knew that Yen Hengshi did not want anyone else to hear this. Yes. The Supreme Realm is divided into 9 levels. Don't think that you can compete with the three of them just because you've advanced to the Supremes. It's definitely not easy to catch up with them. Yen Hengshi frowned and continued, in addition, before I died last time, they said that they would go to the other realms. This time, when they came out of seclusion, they would devour all the realms outside the foggy area. To improve their own strength. To break through to a new realm. What? They are going to devour all the realms outside the foggy area? After Yen Hengshi finished speaking, Night Sorrow's heart trembled. All the realms outside the foggy area, including the God realm. He absolutely could not accept the God realm being devoured. Yes. Including the Eternal Supreme World and the Supreme World's origin. They will all be devoured by them. This is the idea that they came up with after their strength reached the limit. Yen Hengshi analyzed and said, in fact, according to my estimation. If devouring the world outside the foggy area is still not enough, they are very likely to devour most of the cultivators in the world. They will only leave some with potential to replace them. The three vice presidents of the Lu Tian Academy seem to be preparing to use the geniuses in the middle of the academy to replace all the big families in the foggy area. Could it be that the three Supremes feel that they have fattened up these pigs and can devour them? And then train us to be devoured in the future? Night Sorrow analyzed with a frown. Only now did he understand the danger of the three Supremes. It turned out that he had completely underestimated their ruthlessness. Yes. If I'm not wrong, these big families should have already nurtured the Supremes. And the Supremes are the best tonic for them. Yen Hengshi continued to deduce. At this point, Night Sorrow suddenly felt a chill run down his spine when he thought of the three Supremes. In order to pursue power, they really had no bottom line. They were simply the most terrifying monsters in time. I'll stop here for this matter. Let's talk about the next thing. Yen Hengshi continued to transmit his voice. The next thing is related to me. First, I need your help to get my body back. Second, after the three of them come out of seclusion, if I'm still here, I will definitely be exposed. I need something on you to hide. You need something from me? What's that? Hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately asked in confusion. He really did not know that he had a treasure on him that could hide from the Supreme's perception. Chapter 33:46. The coffin in your body can hide my divine soul. Seeing Night Sorrow's puzzled expression, Yen Hengshi immediately transmitted his voice to him. Is it the ancient coffin that I summoned when I was fighting with the pirate skull? Night Sorrow immediately asked. He really had a lot of questions about this ancient coffin. But hearing this, Yen Hengshi said, "Not this one, but another one. The ancient coffin in your hand is very unusual. I can't see through it at all. But I know what's going on with the one you're wearing. It can block all the aura of a person. If you're not at a close distance and hide in it, even a supreme master can't find it." "I see. So it's that one? Senior, if you need it, I can give it to you." After hearing Yen Hengshi's words, Knight Sorrow immediately understood that he was talking about the other one. That was the one he got from the mysterious man on the altar. At that time, the mysterious man said that this ancient coffin was his coffin. You don't have to give it to me. I can borrow it temporarily. When my body comes back, I don't need to use this coffin to hide my body." After Yen Hengshi's divine soul finished speaking, he continued, "In addition, my body needs your help. Senior's business is my business. Where is your body scattered?" Knight Sorrow put the eternal divine tower and the desolation halberd into the space cave. Then he took out the coffin, handed it out, and continued to ask. "My head is this celestial body in front of you. My body has turned into a mountain of flames. My 4 limbs were sealed in the 4 cities of the foggy region. As for the rest, they have been consumed long ago. But it doesn't matter. As long as my bones are here, I can recover." After Yen Hengshi finished speaking, he continued, "Some parts of the eternal divine tower are also suppressed in several cities. If there's a chance in the future, you can take them all." "I see, Senior. But how can I recognize your bones?" Knight Sorrow looked at Yen Hengshi. "It's simple. Feel the aura of this star. My other bones are similar to the aura here. As long as you meet them, you will be able to tell immediately." Yen Hengshi said slowly. "All right. Senior." Knight Sorrow nodded. He carefully sensed the aura here and memorized it. "What I wanted to say is more or less done. There was one more thing. You might not be able to kill 3 supreme venerables in a single reincarnation. If you fail, don't give up. As long as we can stand up, we will have the chance to completely destroy them." Yen Hengshi added, "At this moment, there are already people looking for you in the void. Judging from their auras, they should be the 3 vice school heads. Before I leave, I'm going to teach you a dozen or so divine abilities. This is also all the divine abilities I have mastered." "A dozen divine abilities? If I can master them, my strength will definitely increase by a lot." Hearing this, Knight Sorrow's interest was piqued. Things like divine abilities were definitely good stuff for him. Divine abilities are actually the foundation for the survival of various forces. Countless variations can be practiced from them. Most of the divine abilities I teach you are used to strengthen the foundation. But there are 3 divine abilities, which are used to increase speed, increase soul attack, and increase close combat attack. After that, Yen Hengshi began to teach Knight Sorrow these divine abilities. Among the divine abilities he taught, more than a dozen were basic divine abilities related to cultivation. However, the techniques named Ocean Roaming Dragon, Dark Devouring Soul, and Void Broken Palm were all used to attack. After teaching these divine abilities, Yen Hengshi said, "For me, although there are many divine abilities, in the end, they are all basic. You can study them carefully and combine them with what you have learned in the Balance Institute. You'll be able to comprehend even more powerful moves." "Yes. Senior. A few days ago, I tried to integrate some of the divine abilities of the Eternal Supreme World." Knight Sorrow did not hide anything and told him about the Divine Finger and the Azure Sea Tide. "There are rumors in the world that if you integrate 10,000 Tao, you will be invincible in the world. The 10,000 divine abilities of the Eternal Supreme World, those 3 existences have been accumulating for a long time, much more than I have. If you encounter them in the future, you must be careful. Especially Mia, he has already mastered thousands of divine abilities." After Yen Hengshi finished, he sighed and said, "And I, once mastered thousands of divine abilities, but I had no choice but to fall once, so I can't remember many things. Now that the Eternal Supreme World is in complete chaos, it should be impossible to gather all the divine abilities. However, the three supreme venerables have mastered thousands of divine abilities, so the combined attack must be incomparably heaven-defying. We still have to continue to improve our strength. Knight Sorrow sighed with emotion. He had imagined how powerful the three supreme venerables were. But today, after listening to Yan Hengshi, he completely understood how heaven-defying they were. So, there is still a long way to go. You are still young and full of vitality. As long as you live, everything is possible. Yan Hengshi finally patted Knight Sorrow's shoulder and said, I called you here, you have to think of an excuse. As for your coffin, I will keep it for the time being. Go. Senior, Junior still has one more thing. Can you deduce what's inside this ancient coffin of mine? Knight Sorrow took out the ancient coffin and placed it in front of Yan Hengshi. Yan Hengshi looked at the ancient coffin, frowned and said, It is definitely not simple. But my divine soul can't explore it. I can't be sure what is inside, and I can't be sure whether it is good or evil. You keep it with you for the time being. If you are at the end of the line in the future, you might as well take the risk and open it. I know, Senior. Then Junior will take his leave. Knight Sorrow and Yan Hengshi's divine soul said goodbye and flew outside. At the same time, he was also thinking about what kind of excuse he could use to explain his survival. But after thinking for a while, he didn't come up with anything. At this time, Yan Hengshi continued, In the area where you were intercepted, there is a starry sky tomb. This is the map. You can enter the starry sky tomb ahead of them, and then come out from there. Say that you used the starry sky tomb to escape the pursuit of the pirate skulls and obtained the starry sky milk to improve your strength. Senior, thank you for your advice. Knight Sorrow took the map that Yan Hengshi flew out, held it in his hand and looked at it, then left the star in front of him and flew over there. After reaching the vicinity according to the map, Knight Sorrow immediately sneaked into the starry sky tomb. Chapter 33:47. Should we wait in this tomb or go out to meet them? After entering the tomb, Xiao Wu immediately asked. Since we're here, let's take things as they come. Let's look around and see if we can find any resources. If there's nothing here, let's familiarize ourselves with the terrain. If they ask, we'll know nothing about this place. After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, he summoned the eternal divine tower and restriction-breaking hammers. He said, Everyone, let's look around here and see if there's any opportunity. Okay. In the previous battle, we couldn't do anything to help. We were really anxious. Now we can finally do something. The male hammer of the restriction-breaking hammers was summoned and said embarrassedly. Actually, you guys couldn't help much in the battle. It's my fault for not giving you enough resources. When you guys advance to half-step to extreme realm, it should be fine. After the male hammer of the restriction-breaking hammers finished speaking, Knight Sorrow took out some extreme flame phoenix gold and handed it to the hammers. Use it to level up. There were too many battles a few days ago and I neglected you guys, resulting in you guys not advancing to half-step to extreme realm. Hee, you're too polite. After all, you've already given us the extreme flame phoenix gold. It's just that if we want to level up, we need to consume more than the golden heavenly halberd. After Knight Sorrow handed over the extreme flame phoenix gold, the female hammer of the restriction-breaking hammer said politely. Don't worry about this now. Try and see if you can level up quickly. After you level up, come out and help. After the restriction-breaking hammers collected the extreme flame phoenix gold, Knight Sorrow said and kept the hammers in his space grotto heaven. He brought the eternal divine tower to look for resources in the tomb. After entering the starry sky tomb, one would actually enter a galaxy. However, the stars here were all broken. From afar, none of them were complete. The best preserved star was only 1/3 of a sphere. Knight Sorrow opened the sea serpent's eye and observed for a while. All he saw was a dilapidated scenery. He said, there doesn't seem to be any resources here. It should only be the star tomb. That seems to be the case. They're all broken stars and there's no life on them. What opportunities can there be here? Little 5, who had also observed for a while, said. The Eternal Divine Tower didn't find anything useful either. Actually, it doesn't matter if you don't have the resources. The special thing about this star tomb was that the pirate skulls couldn't enter. Thus, it gave me a reason to escape. That was enough. Let's familiarize ourselves with the surroundings and go out in a while. As Night Sorrow spoke, he took the Eternal Divine Tower and casually wandered through the cosmos. However, he didn't find any useful resources. Besides the remains of some celestial bodies, there were also the remains of some star beasts in this star tomb. The remains of these star beasts were enormous, but after the baptism of time, they had become extremely fragile. The slightest touch would turn them into ashes. In this illusion, Night Sorrow flew for about 3 days. When he found that the surrounding environment was similar, he began to turn back, flying towards the entrance. However, after flying for 2 or 3 days, the restriction-breaking hammer suddenly moved. After devouring a large amount of extreme flame phoenix gold, they had finally evolved into half-step paramount divine artifacts. After advancing, Male Hammer immediately transmitted a message to Night Sorrow, "Let us out to transcend the tribulation." Okay. Night Sorrow replied and let them out. He asked, "Will transcending the tribulation in this environment affect you?" "It shouldn't affect us." Male Hammer replied and faced the tribulation together with Male Hammer. This time, they didn't let Night Sorrow help. The two of them cooperated to resist the tribulation. Although Night Sorrow was worried, he respected their wishes. At the critical moment when the pair of restriction-breaking hammers were almost destroyed, he didn't help. As for the male and female hammers, when they were damaged to the same extent as some of the surrounding celestial bodies, the two of them burst out with a shocking light at the same time. They completely illuminated the dark void. After that, the pair of restriction-breaking hammers successfully transcended the tribulation as if they had the help of the gods. They completely became half-step paramount divine artifacts. Congratulations on successfully transcending the tribulation. Seeing that the restriction-breaking hammers had successfully advanced to half-step paramount divine artifacts, Night Sorrow immediately congratulated them. Little 5 and the Desolate Halberd also congratulated them. Hee, congratulations to you too. After all, we're still 1 step late. At this moment, Male Hammer said and continued, Night Sorrow. Just now, when we were transcending the tribulation, we suddenly saw a different scenery. Different scenery? What's going on? What did you see? Night Sorrow asked in confusion. He didn't quite understand what they meant. Male Hammer explained, didn't we almost shatter just now? At that time, we saw the real scenery around us at the same time. Real scenery? What's going on? Could it be that what we see now is just an illusion on the surface? Little 5 asked after hearing that. Yes. If we're not wrong, there's a barrier in front of us. As long as we break it, everyone will be able to see the real appearance of this place. According to our observation, there must be opportunities here. After Male Hammer finished speaking, he looked at Female Hammer and said, let's begin. As he spoke, he transformed into his human form. Okay. After Female Hammer said that, she transformed into a graceful woman. Then, they began to break the barrier in the void. After about 7 days and 7 nights, they successfully broke the barrier in front of everyone. The moment the barrier was broken, Yi Shang immediately saw a resplendent starry sky. Some of the stars that appeared should have been reborn in the Nirvana rush and were now blooming with brilliance. These are the initial stars and the energy they contain is extremely pure. Let's see if we can find any resources. After observing for a while, Night Sorrow ordered. Then, he brought the Eternal Divine Tower, Golden Heavenly Halberd, Desolate War Halberd, and Restriction-Breaking Bronze Hammer and entered the new world in front of him. He began to search for resources. After leading many divine artifacts to search for a while, Night Sorrow discovered that these stars contained a lot of energy but there was no life or civilization yet. He immediately said, Eternal Divine Tower, can you store these stars? I feel that these in front of us are a new world. Watching it grow will be a great reference. From nirvana to new life, to the birth of life, and then to the beginning of life cultivation, this can indeed allow one to comprehend a lot of things. Even if there are no resources around that can be used directly, it's still a great resource. Desolate War Halberd agreed. Actually, this world contains a lot of energy, but I can't bear to absorb it. Because if I absorb it, this place can't continue to grow. Night Sorrow explained. It's not that he didn't find any resources, but he didn't want to destroy this nascent starry sky prototype. Chapter 33:48. This embryonic form of the starry sky is a new world that can only be encountered by chance. But the eternal divine tower can't be stored in it. Because it's too vast. After Little 5 and Little 7 studied it, they replied to Night Sorrow. They knew that the embryonic form of the starry sky in front of them was a very rare treasure. It was very helpful for experts to understand the world. But they didn't have the ability to store it. What a pity. My space grotto heaven shouldn't be able to store it either. You guys shouldn't be able to do it either, right? Night Sorrow asked Desolate War Halberd and Restriction Breaking Hammer. Of course. I think that other than the extreme venerables, no one should have the ability to store this world. Desolate War Halberd looked at the magnificent starry sky and said. At this time, the male hammer of the Restriction Breaking Hammer continued, we definitely can't store it directly. But I can think of a way. Think of a way? What is it? Tell me. Hearing Xiong Chui's words, Night Sorrow immediately became interested. In my opinion, Night Sorrow can open the ancient coffin on his body and store this world. The male hammer suggested. What? Open the ancient coffin? But we don't know what's inside the ancient coffin. If an evil extreme venerables comes out, won't we all die? Night Sorrow said with a frown. Hearing this, the male hammer, who had transformed into a human form, said, no. There shouldn't be anything in your ancient coffin. Oh. You can sense the situation inside the ancient coffin? After the male hammer finished speaking, Night Sorrow immediately asked. I couldn't in the past, but now that I've advanced to the half-step paramount realm, I can sense that there are no life fluctuations inside. Therefore, there shouldn't be any terrifying existence inside. The male hammer of the Restriction Breaking Hammer said and continued, do you still remember the name of this ancient coffin? World Burial Coffin. It can bury a world. It can definitely store this embryonic form of the starry sky. If you can be sure. I can open it now. Night Sorrow looked at the pair of Restriction Breaking Hammers and said. I'm very confident. The male hammer said with certainty. Okay. Then I'll believe you this time. Let's take a gamble. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he kept the golden heavenly halberd and the others into the spatial grotto heaven, leaving only the Restriction Breaking copper hammer outside. Then, he took out the ancient coffin and was about to lift the lid. At this moment, Xiaowu advised, I think it's fine even if we can't take this embryonic form of the starry sky. But opening the coffin is extremely dangerous. I think this embryonic form of the starry sky will be of great use. We can take a gamble. Night Sorrow replied telepathically. Under the watchful eyes of the hammer, he opened the lid of the ancient coffin. After the lid of the ancient coffin was lifted, a large amount of black gas immediately came out. This black aura was very strong, and at the same time, it also contained a very strong power. Night Sorrow didn't dare to absorb this power and let it spread out into the starry sky. When the black gas completely dissipated, a dense fog rose from the ancient coffin, making it impossible for people to see what was inside. At this moment, Night Sorrow looked at Xiong Hammer and asked, what should we do next? Next, you should make the ancient coffin recognize you as its master. Then control it to collect the fledgling starry sky. Xiong Hammer immediately replied. Hearing this, Night Sorrow looked puzzled and asked, what should I do to make the ancient coffin recognize me as its master? It's very simple. Drip your blood to recognize you as its master. As long as it recognizes you, drip your blood on it and you will be recognized. If it doesn't work, it proves that you are not its chosen master. Hammer said and then speculated, but I think it has been following you all this time. This already proves something. I think so too. If it didn't recognize me, it wouldn't have been following me all this time. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he dripped his blood on the ancient coffin. After his blood was absorbed by the ancient coffin, Night Sorrow immediately felt that he was connected with the ancient coffin. However, this ancient coffin didn't have self-consciousness. He tried to communicate with it but to no avail. So, he began to control the ancient coffin to collect the embryonic form of the starry sky. After trying, he really collected the entire world in front of him into the ancient coffin. This ancient coffin is really powerful. Seeing Night Sorrow use the ancient coffin to collect the starry sky, Hammer immediately praised. Xiaowu, who was in the space grotto heaven, also praised. No wonder it's called the world burial coffin. It can really collect a world. It's really not simple. But I'm not sure if this world can continue to develop in the ancient coffin. Night Sorrow slowly closed the ancient coffin and said with some uncertainty. We can't control those things. Xiong Chui said and continued, the new world here has been taken away, so the space should collapse soon. Let's leave quickly. Okay. You guys enter my space grotto heaven too. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he kept the ancient coffin and the hammer and flew towards the exit of the starry sky tomb. A few days later, Night Sorrow successfully left the exit of the starry sky tomb. At the same time, the originally dilapidated starry sky was completely destroyed. In the void, an incomparably huge shock wave was formed. It was this shock wave that attracted Vice President Ji Xian and the others. When Vice President Ji Xian and the others arrived and saw that Night Sorrow was still alive, they immediately said in surprise, Night Demon. Teacher thought you had already fallen. How did you survive? Reporting to teacher. That day, I was surrounded by pirate skulls and was lucky enough to break out of the encirclement. By chance, I entered the starry sky tomb. Those pirate skulls didn't follow me in. Later, I found some opportunities in it, and my cultivation also increased to the level of a middle-level sky supreme. It can be considered a blessing in disguise. Night Sorrow took a look and found that on the left and right sides of Ji Xian's starship, Andrew and Nangong He starship were following respectively. He immediately said word by word according to the excuse that he had long thought of. You've advanced to the middle level? Good, very good. Vice President Ji Xian smiled and congratulated him. It could be seen that he was really happy for Night Sorrow. Thank you, teacher. Yi Shang expressed his heartfelt gratitude. He felt that although he and Ji Xian were on different sides, the other party's character was still not bad. At this time, Nangong He coldly snorted and said, You master and disciple, if you want to catch up, do it another day. Next, let's talk about how Si Ming was killed by Night Demon. As soon as Nangong He finished speaking, Vice President Andrew asked coldly, Night Demon. Is the matter of you killing Si Ming true? Although he used a questioning tone, his tone gave people an unquestionable feeling. Hearing the words of the two, Night Sorrow understood that what was coming had come. The two of them had just found him, and they were ready to settle the matter of Si Ming. Hearing this, Jia Lin, who was standing behind Ji Xian, immediately prepared to stand up. At this time, Night Sorrow spoke first. Yes. I killed Si Ming. Chapter 33-49. Sigh. Jia Lin sighed when he saw that Yi Shang had taken over this matter. However, she knew Night Sorrow's painstaking efforts, so she didn't continue to speak. Because she understood that even Vice Dean Ji Xian couldn't protect her. At this moment, Vice Dean Ji Xian said, Night Devil, is there a reason why you killed Si Ming? He was naturally speaking to Night Sorrow. Hearing that Vice Dean Ji Xian gave him a chance to explain, Night Sorrow immediately said, It's like this. When I was fighting with Meng Shi and Zhu Qingxian. Baron Thorn suddenly left and went to Night Devil Planet and Meng Shi to cause destruction. After the battle ended, I went to track Baron Thorn. As for my friends and subordinates, they went to planet Jialin under Jialin's lead. Speaking of this, Night Sorrow looked around, but he didn't find Baron Thorn. Thus, he added, if the Vice Deans can find Baron Thorn, we can confront each other on this matter. This matter has nothing to do with you killing Si Ming. There's no need to confront each other. Continue to talk about Si Ming. Seeing that Night Sorrow had lured Baron Thorn to destroy Night Devil Planet, Andrew immediately said in a bad mood. All right. Then I won't mention this matter for now. Night Sorrow looked at Andrew and said firmly, while I was tracking Baron Thorn, Si Ming stopped me on planet Jialin's ship. Si Ming stopped Jialin with her starship and attacked my friends and subordinates. For such a despicable and shameless person, there's nothing wrong with me rushing back to kill him, right? At this moment, he had already cultivated the fog-breathing technique. He was not worried about being exposed in front of these people at all. He was much more confident than before. His words were also more natural and more infectious than before. Hearing this, some of the cultivators on the 3 starships felt that there was no problem. At this moment, Andrew sneered and said, if what you said is true, then killing Si Ming can be more or less pardonable. You only need to accept a small punishment. But how can you prove that what you said is true? Jialin and all my subordinates can prove this matter. Yi Shang looked at Su Zhe and said fearlessly. After all, he was in the right in this matter. Even if the other party was the vice school head, he still couldn't afford to mess around. Hearing this, Andrew sneered and said, the people who can prove this matter are all your friends and subordinates. What's the difference between this and no witnesses? Other than them, can you find any other witnesses? At that time, there was no one else in the sky, so no one can prove it. However, my friends and subordinates can all swear an oath to the heavenly Tao to prove what I just said. Night Sorrow said straightforwardly. Other than the fact that Jialin was the one who killed Si Ming, he did not lie about anything else. He was not afraid of using the heavenly Tao oath to prove himself. Upon hearing this, Nangong he let out a cold harumph and said, ridiculous. Our friends and subordinates should stay away from the matter of you killing Si Ming. Do you have any other witnesses or evidence? If you don't, we'll take it that you're just spouting nonsense. You will be severely punished. Vice School Head Nangong, I've already made it very clear just now. My friends and subordinates can swear an oath to the heavenly Tao. If what I said to them is false, they will definitely be punished by the heavenly Tao. Isn't this enough to prove the truth of the matter? After Nangong he finished speaking, Night Sorrow immediately said angrily. He understood that these 2 vice school heads were about to shamelessly act shamelessly. Of course they can't prove it. Even if you say something, your friends and subordinates can't testify for you. This is the rule. Nangong he continued to speak coldly. There was obvious resentment in her tone. She and Andrew were on the same side. Both Si Ming and Baron Thorn had been trained by them before, so they could be considered half of Si Ming's master. Now that Si Ming had been killed, all she thought about was how to take revenge for her, not how to differentiate between right and wrong. Hearing this, Vice School Head Jason's expression immediately changed. He questioned, when did our Lu Tian Academy have such a rule? Why haven't I heard of it? Aren't you bullying the Night Demon by saying this? There wasn't before. Now there is. This is something that Vice School Head Jason and I agreed on. Even if you have any objections, when you vote, we will win 2-1. Nangong he looked at Vice School Head Jason with an unpleasant expression. On this matter, she was obviously not prepared to give in. Nonsense. Are the 2 of you trying to cover the sky with one hand in the Lu Tian Academy? If everything is up to the 3 of us to vote, then wouldn't the entire Lu Tian Academy become your backyard? After Nangong he finished speaking, Vice School Head Jason replied coldly. If you want to understand it this way, then there's nothing wrong with it. Nangong he said with a gloomy face. Then, she said straightforwardly, no matter what, the night demon will receive the most severe punishment today. My people won't die in vain. At this point, she had already made it clear that she didn't want to be reasonable. Hearing this, Vice School Head Jason said coldly, today, unless the two of you cripple me, no one can maliciously punish the night demon. Night demon, come over and stand behind teacher. I want to see who dares to maliciously target you today. Yes, teacher. Night Sorrow replied and flew behind Vice School Head Jason. He was very touched that the other party was protecting him today. The two of you. If you have something to say, let's talk nicely. The three of us won't make such a big fuss over a junior. What do you think? At this moment, Andrew suddenly spoke. If you don't want to make a big fuss, then punish the night demon severely. Nangong he still refused to give up. Vice School Head Jason sneered and said, Andrew, I understand what you mean. Isn't he just pretending to be a peacemaker? Then, he will deal with the night demon. Tell me, how do you want to deal with him? It's very simple. Banish the night demon to the mass burial star region. We won't pursue this matter any further. Nangong he looked at Vice School Head Jason and said arrogantly, if you don't agree, an unprecedented war will break out in the Lu Tian Academy. Bastard. Even if a war breaks out, I won't let the night demon be banished to the mass burial star region. Hearing this, Vice School Head Jason immediately became furious. As for Night Sorrow, he sent a voice transmission to Jia Lin and asked, what's going on with the mass burial star region? Is there no chance of survival after being banished there? He didn't know anything about the mass burial star region. I'm not sure if there's a chance of survival. But I've never heard of anyone who was banished there coming out alive. Jia Lin said and continued, they want you to pay with your life. So that's how it is. Hearing this, Night Sorrow's eyes immediately narrowed. Chapter 3350. If it weren't for the fact that Nangong Lotus and Andrew were both experts at the fourth stage of the half-step supreme realm, Night Sorrow might have even made a move. However, the truth was that Nangong Lotus and Andrew's fists were bigger. He didn't have the ability to resist at all. Moreover, Dean Ji's words didn't have any effect at all. As for himself, no matter how he tried to explain, it would definitely not have any effect. At this moment, Dean Ji had completely fallen out with Nangong Lotus and was about to make a move. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow felt that he couldn't implicate Dean Ji. He immediately sent a voice transmission, teacher. If they just want to exile me, then we can agree to it. No. They want to exile you to the Chaos Burial Star region. None of the people who were exiled there were able to come out. Even their corpses didn't come out. I can't let a seedling like you be killed by them like this. Vice Principal Ji Xian replied decisively. But teacher. At the moment, we seem to be weak. If this continues, I'm afraid that I won't be the only one who dies. From the perspective of the overall situation, it's better for me to take responsibility for this matter alone. Night Sorrow continued to send a voice transmission. He understood that if this matter didn't end with him, then many people present would die. Although Nangong Lotus and Andrew didn't dare to kill Dean Ji, they definitely wouldn't be polite to him, Jia Lin, and the others. But this is too unfair to you. Dean Ji said unwillingly when he heard Night Sorrow's words. Right now, we are weak, so we can only be bullied. There is no fairness. This is natural selection, the survival of the fittest. We can't resist, so we can only accept it. After Night Sorrow said this, he continued, besides, the others have been exiled to the Chaos Burial Star region and can't come out. It doesn't mean that I can't come out either. Teacher, please believe me. Sigh. When Vice President Ji Xian heard this, he sighed deeply. I hope you don't blame me for being useless. I won't. Teacher has already done his best for Night Devil. Night Devil has already remembered it in his heart. If I'm lucky enough to return from the chaotic burial star region, I'll definitely cooperate with you and avenge you. Yi Shang knew that Ji Xian must be feeling extremely depressed from being suppressed at this moment. Good. Then I'll wait for your return. At that time, we'll settle the score with them. Don't worry, after you leave, I will take good care of everything that belongs to you. Vice President Ji Xian assured Night Sorrow. Then, he looked at Andrew and Nangong Lotus and said, I can promise you that I will banish the night demon to the mass burial star region. But I have a condition. The person who exiled him can only be me, and not you. Are you afraid that we'll cripple his cultivation when we banish him? Hearing this, Nangong he immediately laughed sinisterly and said disdainfully, Do you think that's necessary? The human heart is hard to fathom. After Vice Dean Ji Xian finished speaking, he continued, In addition, I need a day's time. Tomorrow, the night demon would be exiled. Do you have any objections? Hee hee. You want to teach him something? We don't care. But you have to understand that no one who enters the mass burial star region can come out. No matter what you do, it's all in vain. Nangong he said with a fake smile. At this moment, Ji Xian chose to compromise. This made her feel good. You don't have to worry about that. At this time tomorrow, we'll meet at the entrance of the mass burial star region. After Vice Dean Ji Xian finished speaking, he led Night Sorrow and the others toward his palace. On the way, Ji Xian looked at Night Sorrow and said, If you have anything to say or arrange, think of it within a day. Jia Lin and I will help you arrange it. In addition, this silver dragon void shield is my defensive divine artifact. I'll give it to you to protect your life. It's a third-grade half-step supreme realm, so it should be better than what you have. Then I'll borrow it from you. Night Sorrow did not stand on ceremony and put away the silver dragon void shield. He knew that the mass burial star region was definitely very dangerous. He was not prepared to sit still and wait for death. He still wanted to take a gamble. Here are some pills. You have to take them. As for other things, I can't help you with anything else. Vice Dean Ji Xian handed over a small bottle. Night Sorrow took the small bottle and thanked him again. Thank you, teacher. Don't worry, teacher. No matter how hard it is, I will return successfully. I hope so. Vice Dean Ji Xian nodded and said, You should have something to say to your friends. I'll leave the rest to you. After saying that, he entered the starship. The deck of the starship was left to Night Sorrow, Jia Lin and the others. After Vice Dean Ji Xian left, the deck was silent for a moment. Night Sorrow smiled and said, Don't be so pessimistic. This is not the first time I've encountered such a situation. But every time, I've been able to avert danger. This time should not be an exception. You don't have to be so worried. This time, I'm afraid it will be different from what you've experienced before. No one can walk out of the mass burial star region alive. Jia Lin said in despair. After a period of thinking, she had already treated Night Sorrow as a friend. She was really reluctant. Hearing this, Night Sorrow smiled and said, There are many people who can't walk out of the mass burial star region, but it doesn't mean that I can't. Since I started cultivating, I've encountered too many difficulties and desperate situations. This is nothing. Speaking of this, Night Sorrow suddenly remembered the time when he was expelled from the city. At that time, after a series of battles, he finally succeeded in returning. Then, he continued, However, I'm more worried about Night Devil Peak now. I hope that after I leave, you can help me take care of that place. Can you? Of course, that's not a problem. Vice Dean and I will help. Oh right, we're about to go on a long journey. Do you want to meet your friends there and make arrangements with them? Jia Lin asked after he finished speaking. If I can go, I naturally want to meet my friends. Night Sorrow nodded and said. At this moment, Vice Dean Ji Xian said, If you want to meet them, you can go. Thank you, teacher. Shall we go there now? Night Sorrow asked. Now that the main forces of the two realms were all cultivating in Night Devil Peak, this was what he was most worried about. Okay. We'll go now. After Vice Dean Ji Xian finished speaking, he steered the starship and left the endless sea of stars with Night Sorrow and the others. They arrived at the periphery of Night Devil Peak. When they arrived near Night Devil Peak, Ji Xian stopped the starship in the void. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Night Sorrow, go. If you have anything to say it slowly. Don't be anxious. They won't pursue it if it's a day or two later." "Got it, teacher." Night Sorrow responded and returned to Night Devil Peak to find Shao Tianxian, Myriad Sword Sect, and the others. Chapter 33-51. After seeing Shao Tianxian and the people of the Myriad Sword Sect, Night Sorrow did not mention that he would be exiled to the mass burial star field. After exchanging some pleasantries with them, he began to teach them the fog breathing technique. After teaching the technique, he told everyone that they had to learn it before leaving Night Demon Peak. At this time, the one-day time limit had basically passed. Night Sorrow had also solved the problem that he was most worried about. Then, he directly went to find Vice Principal Ji Xian and said, "Teacher, you can send me to the mass burial star field now." Sigh. It's my fault for not having the ability. Vice Principal Ji Xian looked at Night Sorrow helplessly. Then, he sighed and brought him to find Andrew and Nangong Lotus. Night Sorrow naturally did not blame Ji Xian for this matter. On the way, he smiled and said, "Teacher, you don't have to blame yourself. My luck is better. Maybe this trip is an opportunity. I'm very gratified that you can maintain such a mentality." After saying this, Vice Principal Ji Xian thought for a moment and continued, "If you can persist in the mass burial star field for 10,000 years, I will ask the Supreme Venerables who have come out of seclusion to bring you out. So, no matter what difficulties you encounter there, you must not give up. Teacher, don't worry. Even if there is no Supreme Venerables, I will not give up." Night Sorrow nodded and said. At the same time, he felt that the fog-breathing technique taught by Professor Hengsher was really too useful. In the coming years, as long as he persevered in his cultivation, his identity in the fog area would not be exposed. At that time, he would not have to be afraid of facing the Supreme Venerables. Naturally, he could also go to the top of the Mountain of Flames and complete that hidden mission. Your mentality is very good. This is very good. In addition, you need to remember that every Supreme Venerables has a strong mind. The difficulties they encounter are not something that can be summed up with life and death. If you can pass through the mass burial star field, your future will definitely be limitless. When Andrew and Nangong Lotus arrived, Vice Principal Ji Xian once again said to Night Sorrow, "I will come out of the mass burial star field." Night Sorrow took one last look at Vice Principal Ji Xian, then looked at Andrew and Nangong Lotus and said, "One day, the two of you will definitely regret what happened today." "Are you threatening us?" He was really courting death. "Don't think that I won't dare to kill you." Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Nangongha immediately flew into a rage. A wave of scorching energy also rose from her palm, as if she could attack at any time. Seeing Princess Lotus like this, Andrew laughed and said, "Ha ha ha. Why are you getting angry at someone who is about to die? I'm afraid he can't wait for you to kill him and avoid the trip to the chaotic burial starfield. After all, we all know what kind of environment that place is." What you said makes sense." After Andrew finished speaking, Princess Lotus smiled coldly. She looked at Night and said, "I know that you are very angry and feel that you have been targeted. Hee, we are targeting you, what can you do about it?" Ant. She was an expert who was half a step into the Supreme Realm 4th stage. She did not care about Night Sorrow at all. Now that Night Sorrow had advanced to a middle heavenly sovereign, he should be able to fight with a half step to grade 2. However, the difference between him and the 4th stage of the Supreme Realm was still very big. Naturally, he would not attack Nangongha directly. He sneered and said, "With your temperament, I'm afraid you will never be able to advance to the Supreme Realm. Thinking about it, it's really sad. One day, I will surpass you and trample you under my feet." Bastard! You are really courting death." Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Nan Gongha was completely enraged. She glared at him and attacked. "Nan Gongha, you have gone too far." At this moment, Ding Ji Xian, who was already prepared, suddenly attacked and blocked Nan Gongha's attack. Both sides took a few steps back. At this time, Andrew looked at Night Sorrow and said disdainfully, "A Middle Heavenly Sovereign doesn't have the right to worry about existences at our level. You'd better think about how to survive in the chaotic burial starfield. When I come back, you are all trash." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he looked at Ding Ji Xian and said, "Teacher, send me in." Hearing this, Andrew smiled and said, "Let's talk about it when you can come out. You must hold on over there. Go." At this moment, Vice Dean Ji Xian spoke and brought Yi Shan to the entrance of the chaotic burial starfield. He said, "Go in. Take good care of yourself." "Teacher, don't worry." Night Sorrow said and walked into the chaotic burial starfield without hesitation. "Hee hee. You have some courage, but it's a pity that you won't be coming out again." After Night Sorrow walked in, Nan Gongha sneered and left with Andrew. Ding Ji Xian looked at the entrance of the chaotic burial starfield for a while. In the end, he shook his head and sighed before turning around and leaving. Night Sorrow entered the chaotic burial starfield. At the first moment, he realized how cruel the environment of the chaotic burial starfield was. As soon as he entered, he saw countless broken stars. These star fragments were all sealed in ice. Moreover, with Night Sorrow's physical strength, he actually felt cold here and couldn't help but tremble. From this, it could be seen how cold this world was. After observing for a while with the sea serpent's eye, Night Sorrow said, "This world is very big. What we saw should only be the tip of the iceberg. There are no living creatures in front of us, and the cold here is too fierce. Let's go to other areas to take a look. I'm afraid there's no good place in this chaotic burial starfield. Otherwise, why would Nan Gongha and Andrew insist on throwing you here?" Little Five, who was controlling the Eternal Divine Tower, said unoptimistically. Hearing this, Night Sorrow said, "This place is very cold, but I have the Phoenix bloodline and the Leakin bloodline. As long as this place doesn't suddenly erupt with an even more terrifying cold, it won't be a problem for me to persist for 10,000 years. However, it was unacceptable for him to remain here for 10,000 years without any progress in his cultivation. Let's see if we can find a place to cultivate." In front of him, other than the cold, there were desolate star fragments. There were no cultivation resources at all. If he stayed here for a long time, Night Sorrow's cultivation would only stagnate. This was something he couldn't accept at all. After saying that, he took the Eternal Divine Tower and the summoned Forbidden Breaking Hammer and flew into the depths of the chaotic burial starfield. However, after flying for a while, they suddenly realized that the coldness inside was even more terrifying than before. In this kind of cold, Night Sorrow could still barely hold on. However, the Eternal Divine Tower and the Forbidden Breaking Hammer soon couldn't hold on anymore. The male hammer said through voice transmission, "Let's keep us inside. If we're frozen for a while more, the female hammer and I will be crippled." "All right. Little Five, you guys come in too." Hearing this, Night Sorrow kept the Forbidden Breaking Hammer and the Eternal Divine Tower into his space. Then, he continued to wander in the harsh environment of the chaotic burial starfield. Chapter 3352. They had been drifting in the cold chaos burial star field for a month. Night Sorrow felt that his entire body was frozen, but he still did not meet any living creatures. The fragments of the stars they saw were all frozen into ice sculptures. He had tested it before and found that he could shatter these ice sculptures with a single punch. The scene of them shattering was extremely spectacular, but it was useless. The scenery of this chaos burial star field is really not bad, but in this environment, other than Night Sorrow, I don't know who else can survive. No wonder they said that no one who came in could leave. Desolate War Halberd said speechlessly as they wandered aimlessly. Logically speaking, in such a harsh environment, it is very difficult for cultivators to survive for a long time. But we have been flying for a month and we have not seen a single corpse. This means that the cultivators who were sent here should have traveled further than us. They should be looking for a way out. If we continue forward, we should be able to meet some cultivators. But we can't be sure if they are dead or alive. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and deduced. At this moment, his body was covered in white ice particles, and he looked like an ice sculpture. What you said makes sense. Then are we going to keep moving forward like this? I see that the surroundings are very vast. Could it be that we are going in the wrong direction? Desolate War Halberd continued. He felt that this Chaos Burial Star field was incomparably vast, and it might not be the right choice to keep moving forward. At this moment, Hammer said, I think that flying forward is the right choice. Oh. Why do you say that? Desolate War Halberd asked puzzledly. I can't explain it, but I have that feeling. I feel that all the cultivators who enter here will keep moving forward, using this to find a way out. Hammer thought for a moment but did not say why. Hearing this, Desolate War Halberd continued, then let's continue forward. Anyway, Night Sorrow can withstand this low temperature. I can withstand the low temperature now, but if it increases a few times, it should be difficult. After Night Sorrow said that, he continued to fly forward. In this environment, after flying for 3 years, he finally saw the words left behind by a cultivator on a broken star. He also saw the corpse of a cultivator. This cultivator must have been an upper heavenly sovereign when he was alive, and his body was completely frozen. The words on the ice shards of the planet read, My name is Hong Lai. I wandered in the mass burial star region for 30 years. In the end, I couldn't stand the cold and died here. I've let down my teacher, Ji Xian. So he's teacher Ji Xian's student. I'd better keep him in the space paradise and bring him out. Seeing these words, Night Sorrow immediately understood that this person was Vice Principal Ji Xian's disciple, so he kept him in his space paradise. Then, they continued on their way. 7 years later, Night Sorrow saw another corpse. Like Hong Lai, this corpse had been frozen into a lump of ice, but he did not leave anything behind. Night Sorrow glanced at them and sighed, they're all pitiful people. Keep them too. Then, they continued to move forward. This time, Night Sorrow had spent more than 40 years in the disorderly burial star region. In these 40 years, he had seen no less than 10 corpses, but he was already used to it and didn't care about it anymore. After decades of wandering, he gradually understood why everyone said that the disorderly burial star region was a forbidden place that couldn't be left. It was really too cold here. If not for the Phoenix bloodline, Yujia bloodline, and the Leakin bloodline that had extremely strong recovery abilities, he would have been frozen to death long ago. This place really makes one feel despair. After flying for decades, the scenery hasn't changed at all. And I haven't seen a single living person. I can totally imagine what kind of despair those cultivators went through before they died. As Night Sorrow continued to fly, Xiaowu said with some regret. Among the corpses they saw, the strongest was already a 3rd stage half-step to the Supreme Realm, but he was still frozen to death. At this time, Night Sorrow said, I'm wondering if there are any survivors here. I think there shouldn't be. After all, even a 3rd stage half-step to the Supreme Realm cultivator died here. It can't be that a 4th stage expert like the 3 vice principals was also exiled, right? Desolate War Halberd immediately replied when he heard Night Sorrow's words. In these decades, they had really experienced loneliness together and it was rare for them to have the opportunity to speak. If there are no survivors, how are we going to get out? Night Sorrow had flown continuously for decades and felt a little tired, so he stopped in the pitch-black void. He was thinking about how to get out. According to his judgment, there was no one alive here. I think that if we want to get out, we should first find out why this place is so cold. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Hammer also spoke. Yes. In my opinion, the coldness that can freeze a 3rd stage half-step to the Supreme Realm cultivator to death is not ordinary. There might be an ice-type sacred spirit of the supreme realm in this disorderly burial star region. Xiaowu said immediately. After seeing the corpse of a third-stage half-step to the supreme realm cultivator, he had this speculation. Everyone's words make sense, but it's really difficult to find the reason why this place is so cold. Yishang glanced at the endless void and said somewhat helplessly. Then, they began to drift again. This time, Night Sorrow had not flown for long when he saw some light in front of him. These lights looked like they came from flames or stars. Night Sorrow was immediately energized and said, "Look, there's light in front." There really is. Is this the light at the end of the tunnel? Desolate War Halberd, who discovered that there was indeed light in front of them, was also excited. After all, this was a huge discovery for them. Xionghammer was also pleasantly surprised. The silent journey has finally seen the light. Let's hurry over. No matter what kind of light it is, we have to go and explore. After Yishang said this, he led them and flew towards the direction of the light. When he got closer, he immediately used the sea serpent's eye to observe and found that some of the lights he saw were from more than 10 stars that were not frozen. After flying here, he could already feel that the surroundings were much warmer. At this time, Xiaowu asked, "Night Sorrow, did you find any traces of cultivators on these stars?" "Not yet, but I can feel that I'm being watched." As Night Sorrow continued to observe, he replied to Xiaowu and shouted, "The Night Demon of Lu Tian Academy was here." Haha. I didn't expect that a middle heavenly supreme like you could come to the scorching pure land. After Night Sorrow shouted, someone quickly responded. Soon after, a tall and sturdy male cultivator flew out from a celestial body. Chapter 3353. Were you also exiled to the Chaos Burial Star Field? After the burly male cultivator appeared, Night Sorrow immediately sized him up. He discovered that this male cultivator was at the 3rd grade of the half-step supreme realm. However, the aura he released was not as strong as an ordinary 3rd grade of the half-step supreme realm. It was almost equivalent to the 2nd grade of the half-step supreme realm. Night Sorrow had the ability to contend with such strength, so he was not too nervous. Yes. I killed one of Andrew's elders, so I was exiled to the Chaos Graveyard Star region. Why are you here? Logically speaking, with your cultivation, you were able to come to the scorching pure land because your talent is extraordinary. With your talent, the Academy should be nurturing you with all its might. How could they let you be exiled here? This burly male cultivator was quite polite to Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow could feel that the other party was deliberately trying to get close to him, but he shouldn't have any ill intentions. These were what Night Sorrow could sense with the power of virtue. Even if the other party didn't have any ill intentions, his attitude became modest. He said, "I killed a Star Lord. And I was exiled here by the 3 great vice academies." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he asked, "How should I address you?" Hee. My name is Barbarian King, and I specialize in close combat. I was originally an elder of the Star Hall. What's your name? Barbarian King replied with a smile. My name is Night Devil. Before I was exiled, I was a Star Lord. Night Sorrow said, and then said, Brother Barbarian King, if it's convenient, can you introduce this scorching pure land to me? Can this place withstand the terrifying cold of the Chaos Burial Star Field? This scorching pure land can indeed withstand the cold of the Chaos Burial Star Field. Barbarian King said, then continued, but each star can only help one person withstand the Chaos Burial ice that occurs once every 100 years. But currently, the 9 stars of the scorching pure land all have masters. If Brother Night Devil wants to obtain the right to reside here, you have to challenge the 9 great Star Lords. Brother Barbarian King, what's going on with the Chaos Burial ice that occurs once every 100 years? Is it a terrifying ice period? Hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately asked with a frown. Yes. This mass burial of ice that occurred once every 100 years would last for 3 years. Within these 3 years, the entire disordered burial starfield would be covered in ice. the temperature would be at least 20 times lower than usual. If they don't stay dormant in the scorching Pure Land, they won't be able to hold on. The barbarian king replied. Regarding this matter, he did not hold back at all. The reason why the barbarian king had approached Knight Sorrow and told him so much was because he was the weakest among the 9 Star Lords. Furthermore, his cultivation had dropped to the 2nd grade of the half-step supreme realm. He didn't want to engage in too many battles. He felt that if he sold Knight Sorrow well, he wouldn't be challenged. Hearing the barbarian king's words, Yi Shang immediately understood what was going on. He asked, "Brother barbarian king, can you introduce me to the other 8 Star Lords?" "That's naturally possible." When the barbarian emperor heard this, he instantly understood that Knight Sorrow had no intention of doing anything to him. Therefore, he began to talk about the other 8 Star Lords in detail. Of the other 8, only one was at the 2nd grade of the half-step supreme realm. However, with her strength, she was ranked in the top 3 and was not a good opponent to challenge. The rest were at the 3rd grade of the half-step supreme realm. They were all elders of Lu Tian Academy and none of them were Star Lords. The reason for their banishment was basically unexplainable. The barbarian king analyzed the strength of these people one by one and sent a voice transmission to Knight Sorrow. The most suitable opponent to challenge is Star Lord Wan Ren, who is ranked 8th. His current strength is about the same as mine. If you want to fight for a place to survive, you have to attack him quickly. Because there are less than 3 years left before the mass burial of ice arrives. Brother barbarian king, I have another question. That is, if I keep the cultivators in my own grotto heaven, can they pass through the mass burial of ice? Knight Sorrow continued to ask after the barbarian king finished speaking. He felt that if he could keep the others in his grotto heaven and avoid the mass burial of ice, then he wouldn't have to cruelly kick one of them away. Someone tried before and it didn't work at all. This is also the cruelest part of this place. The barbarian king immediately replied. All right. I got it. Knight Sorrow nodded and then asked, Brother barbarian king, all of you are only thinking about how to survive and not how to get out? Get out? It's easier said than done. This mass burial of stars is so vast that there is no end to it. We can only stay near the scorching Holy Land and don't have the ability to find the exit. The barbarian king sighed when he heard the word, get out. No one here didn't want to get out. But none of them had the ability to do so. That's true. Knight Sorrow replied and then looked at the few celestial bodies. He was thinking about which one to challenge. After all, this was something he had to do to survive. But he didn't have any enmity with these people, so he really didn't want to challenge them. Just as Knight Sorrow was feeling conflicted, a mocking voice suddenly came from one of the celestial bodies. Haha. Barbarian King. You're really getting worse and worse. Is a middle heavenly supreme worth you kneeling and licking? Who does he have the ability to pull down? Look at how hesitant he is. What a joke. Ho Yunlai, I don't have your absolute strength. In order to prevent the celestial bodies from being robbed, it's okay to be humble. Also, in my opinion, this brother's strength is not weak at all. He's not hesitating, he's just embarrassed to attack a stranger. Upon hearing this voice, the barbarian king immediately responded. Then, he sent a voice transmission to Knight Sorrow. Brother Knight Demon, although Ho Yunlai is usually arrogant, he's ranked 4th in combat strength among the 9 Star Lords. You'd better not target him. Brother Barbarian King. You just said the reason why I couldn't make a decision for a long time. Now that I have a reason to attack, why should I hesitate? The opponent I choose to challenge is Ho Yunlai. Knight Sorrow, who was still thinking about who to challenge, heard Ho Yunlai's disdain and immediately locked his gaze on him. Ho Yunlai and the Barbarian King were both 3rd stage half-step to the Supreme Realm, but his aura was much stronger than the Barbarian King's. It was basically equivalent to a 3rd stage half-step to the Supreme Realm. However, Knight Sorrow still chose him as his opponent without hesitation. What? You ant, you want to challenge me? Ha ha ha, come. I've been bored for many years and want to exercise my muscles. Hearing that Night Sorrow had actually chosen him as his opponent, Ho Yunlai laughed instead of being angry. At the same time, he flew out from the celestial body he was on. Seeing Ho Yunlai flying toward him, Night Sorrow sneered. You can eat more, but you can't talk too much. Today, you'll die for talking too much. Bastard, who gave you the courage? Ho Yunlai was instantly enraged when he heard Yi Shang's disdain. Chapter 3354. 1 second to remember love on *U reading /book wonderful, no pop-up window free reading. In his rage, Ho Yunlai had already started to prepare his attack. In his opinion, Yi Shang, who was a middle heavenly sovereign, could not withstand a single blow. There was an insurmountable gap between him and a stage 3 half-supreme realm expert like him. After all, before he had been banished, he had been an elder of the Lu Tian Academy. During his years as an elder, he had seen countless geniuses, but none of them had been a match for him, a grade 3 sovereign, at the level of a middle heavenly sovereign. It had formed a fixed mindset in his mind. Seeing that Ho Yunlai was ready to attack, Night Sorrow sneered. If I said that my strength gave me courage, I'm afraid you wouldn't believe me. But today, you will definitely die. As he spoke, Night Sorrow took out his golden heavenly halberd. At the same time, he activated the Treastrimsa battle mystic technique and the destruction mystic ability. He also activated the green phoenix battle armor. As for the bloodline power and the silver dragon void shield that Vice Dean Ji Xian had given him, he had no intention of using them yet. After Yi Shang raised his aura, some of the frost on his body completely melted. On his body, there were faint flames burning. Your aura is not bad, but there is a gap between us. This is a gap that no one can cross. Yi Shan's aura increased and he took out his half-step paramount stage divine artifact, the golden heavenly halberd. Ho Yunlai, who had already prepared a palm strike, suddenly struck out at Yi Shang. Yin Yang Fire Palm. As he attacked, countless pairs of palm prints appeared in the void. The pairs of palm prints were symmetrical, and they contained both soft and hard power. This attack is not simple. Night Sorrow, be careful. Desolate War Halberd warned when he saw Ho Yunlai's attack. If it were him, he would definitely not be able to block this attack. At this moment, Night Sorrow replied, "It's okay. This is just a probing attack. It looks powerful, but it is actually weak. Like the Barbarian King, he has stayed here for too long, and his strength has been depleted." As he spoke, he used his golden heavenly halberd to unleash the godly spear strike. After Night Sorrow had advanced to the middle heavenly sovereign level, the power of the spear had increased significantly. After being struck out, it was not used to block the tens of thousands of palm prints. Instead, it was aimed directly at Ho Yunlai's face. After this attack, Night Sorrow, with the help of the sea serpent's eye, used the sea-wandering dragon's divine power that Yan Hengshi had taught him and used his body movement to dodge the attack. The ocean-roaming dragon was much more mysterious than the 9 steps of the heaven-defying 9 steps. It shuttled through the yin-yang blazing palm without being touched at all. At the same time, Night Sorrow thought to himself, I wonder what kind of effect this move will have when combined with the 9 heaven-defying steps. At this moment, due to the lack of time, he had only learned some spells that Yan Hengshi had taught him. He hadn't completely fused them yet. He was looking forward to what kind of attack he would be able to unleash after the fusion. This movement technique is amazing, it must have come from the Supreme Venerable. It's very valuable. Seeing Night Sorrow use the ocean-roaming dragon to dodge Ho Yunlai's attack, the Barbarian King immediately praised him. This movement technique also attracted the attention of the other Star Lords. If it weren't for the fact that they were trapped here and were already in despair, this movement technique alone would have caused a fight. I didn't expect you to have such an exquisite movement technique. At this moment, Ho Yunlai suddenly punched out and collided with the godly spear. It even shattered the power contained in the spear. Then, he said gloomily, this movement technique is not bad. It's mine from now on. if you want to get my movement technique, you have to defeat me first. You shouldn't be able to do that. Ho Yunlia's yin-yang blazing palm completely collapsed in the void. At this moment, Night Sorrow said coldly. If it weren't for the fact that he wanted to practice the divine power that Yen Hengshi had taught him, he would have taken the initiative to attack. Hearing Night Sorrow's mockery, Ho Yunlai, who felt that it was harsh to the ears, was a little embarrassed. He said angrily, "Little ant, how dare you boast shamelessly in front of your grandfather? Go to hell." Boundless Universe Spear. As he roared, he took out a long spear and stabbed it at Night Sorrow. After the Boundless Universe Spear was used, it immediately formed 108,000 spear auras in the void. Ho Yunlai, who had been waving the spear continuously, immediately stopped after the spear auras were formed. After he stopped, he sneered, "You don't know what's good for you. You actually didn't interrupt me." At the same time, the 108,000 spear auras in the void suddenly attacked Night Sorrow. Each of these 108,000 spear auras looked similar to the Boundless Universe Spear in Ho Yunlia's hand. The power contained was at the second stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. This was the strongest state that Ho Yunlai could display at the moment. Once, in the Lu Tian Academy, he had unleashed 108,000 spear auras at the third stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. For a time, it was shocking in the academy. Seeing Ho Yunlai unleash the 108,000 spear auras, the barbarian king immediately reminded Night Sorrow, "Brother, this is one of his strongest skills. You must be careful. Thank you for the reminder." Facing the Boundless Universe Spear, Night Sorrow used the Sea Serpent's Eye to observe while activating some of the divine abilities taught by Yen Hengshi to enhance his speed and strength. Then, he took out the Desolation Halberd. His left hand controlled the Golden Heavenly Halberd and unleashed the Fiery Demon Spear. His right hand controlled the Desolation Halberd and unleashed the Qingxian Divine Spear technique. With the help of the Ocean Roaming Dragon divine ability, he was like a butterfly flying through flowers, resisting the 108,000 spear auras. Because his speed was fast enough, although there were many spear auras, they still did not touch his body. They were broken one by one. After dozens of breaths, the Boundless Universe Spear was completely broken. The divine abilities taught by Senior Yen Hengshi are indeed extraordinary. If it was in the past, Night Sorrow would not have the ability to resist the Boundless Universe Spear at all. But now, it was more than enough. He could feel that he could not only fight against the second stage of the half-step Supreme Realm, but he could also challenge the third stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. This was not only because his cultivation had advanced to the Middle Heavenly Sovereign level, but also because of Yen Hengshi's divine abilities. In time, if he could master all of these, his strength would rise to another level. While Night Sorrow was thinking about this, Ho Yunlai was already a little flustered. He had not expected Night Sorrow's movement technique to be so effective. As a result, his strongest ultimate art was completely useless. Moreover, Ho Yunlai felt that he had become a punching bag in front of Night Sorrow. This feeling made him very uncomfortable. The barbarian king, who was at the side, was secretly laughing. He was glad that he had gotten close to Night Sorrow. Otherwise, everything that Night Sorrow had shown before him was enough to defeat him. Chapter 3355. The barbarian king was full of admiration for Yi Shang's talent that could be seen with the naked eye. At the same time, Night Sorrow's performance was also seen by the other Star Lords. The weaker ones had the same thought as the barbarian king. They were glad that Ho Yunlai had stood out. "Ho Yunlai, if you can't show me some more powerful skills, I'll attack you. Then I'll start attacking." Yi Shang's current thought was to test his true abilities. Ho Yunlai was obviously a good opponent. Therefore, he didn't attack immediately. Instead, he floated in the void and waited for his opponent to continue attacking. After fighting for a while, he hadn't used the Eternal Divine Tower or the Silver Dragon Void Shield. He definitely had a backup plan, so he wasn't worried that he would be killed instantly. Especially the Silver Dragon Void Shield that Vice Dean Ji Xian had given him. It was a defensive divine artifact of the half-step supreme realm. It had a strong defensive effect against the attacks of a cultivator of the half-step supreme realm. With its help, he wouldn't be fatally injured at this level. He could use the Leakin bloodline to recover automatically. Junior. You're really arrogant. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Ho Yunlai was so angry that his nose was crooked. At this moment, he regretted being greedy and provoking Su Ke. At that time, he thought that Night Sorrow's cultivation was low. He must have relied on a very powerful secret treasure to be able to survive until the scorching Pure Land. He had provoked Su Ke directly to find an excuse to snatch the secret treasure. However, he didn't expect that Night Sorrow, a middle heavenly supreme, would have such strength. However, he couldn't back down now. He could only brace himself and continue fighting. After thinking for a while, Ho Yunlai took out a fist-sized red bead from the void. He floated it above his head. Then, the red bead gradually emitted a gentle light. After being supported by the gentle red light, Ho Yunlai's aura instantly increased by several times. Arrogant Junior, go to hell. After receiving the support, Ho Yunlai didn't continue to attack. Instead, he held the Wuji spear and rushed toward Night Sorrow. At the same time, he took out a secret treasure that could seal the void, the Wuji Void Cauldron. The space around Night Sorrow was completely sealed. According to his judgment, Night Sorrow's movements were too ethereal. Only by locking down the surrounding void and engaging in close combat would he have a chance to win. This artifact is not bad. After Ho Yunlai used the limitless void cauldron to confine the surrounding void, Night Sorrow suddenly felt that his movements were restricted. At this moment, he could completely use his methods to break the seal, but he did not do so. Instead, he held the golden heavenly halberd and the desolate war halberd to receive Ho Yunlai's attack. Under this restriction, Night Sorrow's speed became much slower. In the process of fighting with Ho Yunlai, he was even at a disadvantage. Sure enough, I still need this artifact to deal with you. Now that Ho Yunlai had gained the upper hand, he felt much more relaxed. Because this was his last resort. If it still didn't work, then he wouldn't have any thoughts of resisting. Seeing Ho Yunlai heave a sigh of relief, Night Sorrow immediately felt that it was a little funny. He did not attempt to break the artifact, but instead shot out 4,400 words of truth technique at Ho Yunlai, who was holding the limitless spear. His speed was reduced. After Ho Yunlai's speed was reduced, both of them were at the same starting line again. At this moment, Ho Yunlai realized that even if both of them were at the same speed, he was no match for Night Sorrow. This was because in terms of strength and physical strength, he was no match for Night Sorrow. Moreover, his close combat skills were obviously weaker. Ho Yunlai is definitely going to die. Seeing the situation, Yan Hongmei, the only female cultivator among the 9 and the only second-stage half-step to the Supreme Realm, made a judgment. She was one of the top 3 Star Lords in terms of strength, and she had good judgment. After Yan Hongmei made her judgment, the other 2 top 3 cultivators, Qing Bao and Yuan Tianlong, also expressed their agreement. Under such circumstances, the barbarian emperor was even more relieved. After all, his means were not as good as Ho Yunlai's. If he fought with Night Sorrow head-on, he would be killed very quickly. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Night Sorrow summoned the Eternal Divine Tower. He transmitted his voice, Xiao Wu. Ho Yunlai is about to die. Later, you guys absorb it and convert it into energy. Okay. Do you need our help to attack? Xiao Wu responded and asked at the same time. No need. He no longer has the ability to struggle. Night Sorrow said confidently as he continuously suppressed Ho Yunlai with his halberds. The truth was just as he had predicted. Although Ho Yunlai was still resisting, the defense in his heart had already collapsed. He did not resist for long before he was completely killed. He was easily absorbed into the Eternal Divine Tower. At this moment, Night Sorrow said, the limitless spear is a second-grade divine weapon. I have some use for it. The limitless void cauldron can confine space and has some use in battle. Leave them all. Absorb all the other secret treasures and divine weapons he has. Okay. This guy has accumulated quite a lot. He has 3 half-step to the Supreme Realm divine weapons. Xiao Wu checked and found the 3 half-step to the Supreme Realm divine weapons. He immediately devoured them happily. To the Eternal Divine Tower, this was definitely a great supplement. Just as Xiao Wu devoured the 3 half-step to the Supreme Realm divine weapons, he suddenly said, "Night Sorrow, what do you think this is?" Night Sorrow looked up and realized that Xiao Wu was paying attention to a burnt black tree branch. He held the tree branch in his hand and observed it with the sea serpent's eye. The hardness of this tree branch is about a 3rd grade half-step to the Supreme Realm. It's very extraordinary. I wonder where Ho Yunlai got it from. However, it's too short and can't be used to refine a divine weapon. Since I can't use it to refine a divine weapon, I'll keep it. As he spoke, Xiao Wu prepared to keep the tree branch into the Eternal Divine Tower. At this moment, Night Sorrow said, "You've already absorbed quite a bit. Leave this tree branch behind for now. What if it has some use in the future?" "Alright then." Xiao Wu replied and let Night Sorrow keep the Eternal Divine Tower into the space grotto heaven. Then, Night Sorrow cleaned up the battlefield in no time. Seeing that Night Sorrow had collected all the spoils of war, the barbarian king immediately flew over and praised, "Brother Night Demon, you're really a peerless genius. With your talent, if you weren't exiled to the disorderly burial star zone, I'm sure you can cultivate to a 5th grade half-step to the Supreme Realm. You might even advance to the Supreme Realm. Brother Barbarian King, you flatter me." Night Sorrow said politely and asked, "Brother Barbarian King, how do I use the celestial bodies to pass through the disorderly burial ice?" The Barbarian King immediately replied, "That's simple. Every celestial body has an origin source. As long as you obtain the recognition of the origin source, you can be protected by the origin source when the disorderly burial ice arrives." Chapter 3356. Brother Barbarian King, how do you get the origins recognition? Night Sorrow, who knew nothing about the scorching Holy Land, could only continue to ask. Hearing this, Barbarian King laughed and said, "Haha. That's simple. Usually, after defeating the original owner of the star and occupying the star, the origin will automatically appear." Night Sorrow continued, "Then, what conditions do I have to meet to get the origins recognition?" There shouldn't be any conditions because each of us can easily get the origins recognition. After Barbarian King finished speaking, he looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Brother Night Demon, we have plenty of time to catch up. Why don't you go and take over the star first?" "All right." Night Sorrow responded and looked at the other stars and said, "Night Demon is new here, I hope everyone can take care of me. Don't worry, I don't want to stay here for long, so I'm not interested in fighting for power. Haha. When we first arrived here, we had the same idea as you. But later, we were all slapped in the face by time." Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Green Leopard, who was ranked 3rd, said with a laugh. There was a trace of desolation in his laughter. At this time, Yuan Tianlong also said, "Fighting for power here is useless. We have no interest in it. But if anyone can find a way to leave, everyone is willing to submit to him. I have to leave within 1,000 years. If anyone has any clues, please let me know. I'm willing to try after the mass burial glacier is over. If I can find a way, I can take everyone away for free. I don't need anyone to submit to me." Night Sorrow bowed to everyone. He knew that these people had been in the mass burial glacier for many years. They must have a deeper understanding of this place than he did. Well said. When the mass burial glacier is over, let's have a good talk. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Yuan Tianlong said, "All right. Let's have a chat then." After saying this, Night Sorrow flew towards the star that originally belonged to Ho Yunlai. When he flew to the star, Night Sorrow could immediately feel a thick warmth. It was obvious that the origin of this celestial body was a scorching flame. As for Night Sorrow, he stood on the celestial body and waited for a while. However, the source that the barbarian king spoke of didn't appear. He immediately said, "Celestial body origin, can you come out and meet me? Your strength is too weak. It's impossible for you to gain my recognition." At this moment, the origin replied in a loud and clear voice. After saying this, he continued, "However, if you choose to submit, I will still help you pass through the mass burial glacial ice. Even the heavens and earth are unable to make me submit. You think you can make me bow my head?" Hearing this, Yi Shang was immediately enraged. Even Hou Yunlai had acknowledged the existence of this source, yet it was putting on airs in front of him. It made him feel very uncomfortable. Humph. With your low cultivation, if you don't choose to submit, then prepare to die in the mass burial frigid ice. The astral origin said disdainfully when it heard Night Sorrow's words. Could it be that you didn't see me killing Hou Yunlai earlier? After the astral origin said that, Night Sorrow said coldly. You killing him doesn't change the fact that your cultivation is low. It's impossible for me to acknowledge your cultivation. The astral origin said disdainfully again. Hearing the astral origin's words, the other Starlords were speechless. No one would have thought that the astral origin only looked at cultivation and not strength. They immediately sympathized with Night Sorrow. Because if he couldn't be acknowledged by the origin, Night Sorrow would definitely die in the mass burial glacial ice. Me? You're just an astral origin. How dare you call yourself a Taoist in front of me? Who gave you the courage? Night Sorrow, who had already understood the astral origin's meaning, was immediately furious. He already understood that being polite wouldn't get the other party's recognition, so he immediately prepared to attack. Humph. Do you think you can scare me by getting angry? I won't acknowledge you. What can you do? Do you think you can sneak into the lava at the center of the astral origin and fight me? The astral origin mocked in disdain after hearing Night Sorrow's anger. Sneak into the lava at the center of the astral origin? I'm not interested in that. But it's very easy to deal with you. I'll just destroy the astral origin. There was a trace of anger between Yi Shang's brows. With a roar, he flew into the sky. He used the golden heavenly halberd and the desolation halberd to shoot the divine spear at the astral origin in front of him. The two divine spears bombarded the surface of the astral origin one after another, causing a huge explosion. In a dozen breaths, about 1/10 of the astral origin had been blasted away. You actually want to destroy the astral origin? Do you know that if the astral origin is destroyed, you won't have the ability to resist the mass burial glacial ice? Seeing Night Sorrow launch such an attack on the astral origin immediately scolded him. If I destroy you, I can still fight for other astral origin. You'll soon understand that you don't have the right to show off. Night Sorrow roared and launched another attack at the celestial body. He didn't show any mercy at all. Bastard. Do you think that I'll only endure and not retaliate? When Night Sorrow's attack bombarded the surface of the astral origin again, the astral origin immediately roared angrily. So what if you retaliate? Who's afraid of you? In the face of the astral origin's roar, Night Sorrow responded disdainfully and launched another attack. I'm going to burn you to ashes. The astral origin, which had originally looked down on Night Sorrow's cultivation, was completely enraged at this moment. As it roared, it turned into a small person made of flames and flew out from the earth's core. It suddenly spat out a mouthful of extremely hot flames at Night Sorrow. You dare to be arrogant in front of me with just these flames? In the face of the flames spat out by the astral origin, Night Sorrow directly used the divine essence trapping array to isolate it. Then, he summoned the eternal divine tower and said, Little 5, absorb the flames spat out by the astral origin. Okay. We can totally control flames of such intensity. Little 5 replied and successfully absorbed the flames spat out by the celestial body's origin source. He's really ruthless. Seeing the battle in front of him, the barbarian emperor immediately understood that Night Sorrow did intend to destroy the astral origin, and immediately said nervously. Just as Night Sorrow said, after destroying the astral origin in front of him, he would naturally have to compete for other astral origin. Then, he might be the unlucky one. After thinking for a while, the barbarian emperor immediately flew over from his astral origin and shouted, "Brother Night Devil, I'm coming to help you." This barbarian emperor is really shameless. Seeing the barbarian emperor fly over to Night Sorrow, the other astral lords couldn't sit still anymore. Apart from the top three, they all flew towards the astral origin where Night Sorrow was. Moreover, they all attacked the astral origin. This was definitely beyond the astral origin's understanding, and it was a little dumbfounded. Chapter 33:57. Stop, all of you stop. Aren't you afraid that I'll join forces with the other astral origins to fight against you? The astral origin said fiercely after being attacked by everyone. The barbarian king snorted. "Humph. In my opinion, it's better for you to submit. So that you won't be destroyed. As for the other origins, they won't be as unappreciative as you. Brother Night Demon has already killed Ho Yunlai, and you still refuse to admit it. Isn't this a provocation? How can we spoil you? That's right. If you don't choose to submit quickly, we'll kill you immediately." Wan Ren, who was ranked 8th, also threatened when he saw the barbarian king trying to make his presence known. As for the other astral origins, they didn't even stand up under such circumstances. This proved that the celestial origin in front of him was obviously bluffing. The barbarian king sneered. "If you don't choose to submit, what awaits you is only destruction." At the same time, everyone attacked continuously. They weren't polite to the astral origin at all. The astral origin, who was besieged, admitted defeat helplessly. "Admit, I'm willing to acknowledge Night Demon." "You're willing to admit it?" "Humph, we're talking about making you submit. Do you understand?" The astral origin was willing to acknowledge Night Sorrow, but Wanren immediately said disdainfully. "Submit? It's impossible for me to submit to a middle heavenly sovereign." The astral origin was enraged again. He didn't care about middle heavenly sovereigns at all. "Haha. You're still putting on airs with me in this situation. Do you think I need you to submit to me?" Night Sorrow, who had been silent for a long time, finally spoke. "In your dreams, it's already good enough that I acknowledge you. You still want me to submit to you? Dream on." The astral origin said disdainfully again. Night Sorrow laughed even more disdainfully. "I won't accept you even if you want to submit to me. What I'm preparing to do is to refine you into a puppet." Night Sorrow took out the Wuji Void Cauldron and used it with the Divine Essence Trap Array to trap the astral origin inside. Then, he forcibly refined it. "From now on, you'll be called an origin puppet, not an astral origin," Yi Shang said slowly after refining the astral body's origin. The origin golem said respectfully, "Yes, Master." The barbarian king immediately said, "Brother Night Demon, you're really good." If he refined it into a puppet, he could still use it to pass through the mass burial glacial ice. There's no need to cooperate with the origin. I feel that Brother Night Demon has paved a path for them. At this moment, Wan Ren said excitedly, "If all of us can refine our origins into puppets, then everyone would be able to break free from the shackles of the scorching Pure Land. Let's find a way out together." "Yeah. If we can all refine the celestial bodies into puppets and carry them with us, we can definitely leave the scorching Pure Land." Hearing this, Yuan Tianlong's interest was piqued. They had been trapped here for countless years. Usually, even if they explored the surroundings, they would only leave for a few decades at most and return before the mass burial frost arrived. This also caused them to not be able to explore far enough. Now that he had seen Yi Shan's actions, it was as if he had been hit in the head. He immediately reacted. At this moment, Yan Hongmei and Qing Bao were also alarmed. The three of them flew towards the celestial body that Night Sorrow was on. After flying there, Yan Hongmei cupped her fists and said to Night Sorrow, "Brother Yi, Hongmei has a presumptuous request, I hope that Brother Yi can agree to it. Before she could say the details, Yuan Tianlong continued, my intention is the same as Yan Hongmei's. I hope that Brother Night Demon can help us lock onto the celestial body's origins when the divine origin force allows. Let us refine it. If you have any requests, Brother Night Demon can just say it. The Night Demon can understand your feelings. Although it's not easy to restrain the celestial body's origins, we can do it one by one. As for the conditions, I want to set a condition that everyone in the mass burial starfield listen to my command. This restriction will be removed immediately after we leave the mass burial starfield. What do you all think? Night Sorrow knew that everyone wanted to refine the celestial body's origins. But they did not have any means to restrain the celestial body's origins, so they came to him one by one. Night Sorrow felt that he should use these people if he could. After all, they might encounter more dangers in the mass burial starfield. Hearing this, Yan Hongmei did not hesitate and immediately agreed. I, Yan Hongmei, swear that from now on, until I leave the mass burial starfield, I will serve Night Demon. If I violate this oath, I will be struck by lightning. I, Qing Bao, swear that from now on, until I leave the mass burial starfield, I will serve Night Demon. If I violate this oath, I will die a horrible death. Seeing Yan Hongmei swear, Qing Bao followed without hesitation. After that, Yuan Tianlong, Wan Ren, and the rest began to swear. No one objected. After they finished swearing, Man Wang swore, from today onwards, I, Man Wang, will follow Brother Night Demon forever and follow his lead. He chose to submit just like that? When they saw the barbarian king swear such an oath when Yi Shang proposed such generous conditions, they were immediately puzzled. They looked at him as if he was an idiot. Being stared at by everyone, Man Wang thought to himself, although you people are strong, you are not smart enough. Everyone will encounter many difficulties in the mass burial starfield. I choose to submit directly and will be taken care of by Brother Night Demon in the future. This could be considered a death-free golden medallion. What is there to laugh at? After hearing Man Wang's oath, Night Sorrow could naturally see what Man Wang was thinking. He smiled and said, Brother Man Wang, you are too polite. We can get along as brothers. There is no need to talk about submitting or not. Boss Night Demon, since I, Man Wang, have sworn to be loyal to you, this naturally cannot be changed. Seeing that Night Sorrow did not object, Man Wang immediately changed the way he addressed Night Sorrow. After Man Wang changed the way he addressed Night Sorrow, the Star Lords in front of him realized what was going on. All of them felt that this barbarian king was really a clever person. At this time, everyone looked at each other, as if they were about to make a decision. Night Sorrow smiled and said, Everyone, don't worry, I will not take care of Man Wang too much. I am ready to attack, who wants to go first? Ladies first. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Yuan Tianlong pointed at Yan Hongmei and said, Okay. Generally speaking, Star Source cannot be separated from the Star Source. It should not be difficult for us to deal with it. Night Sorrow said, then looked at Yan Hongmei and said, Let's begin. You lead the way. Okay. Thank you for your hard work, Boss Night Demon. Although Yan Hongmei's face was as cold as ice, she still respected Night Sorrow very much. Just like Man Wang, she called him boss. Chapter 3358. Don't be so courteous. Just call me Night Demon. Yi Shang felt a little awkward when Yan Hongmei called him boss of the Night Demons. Then, he accompanied Yan Hongmei to capture the celestial source. With Night Sorrow's help, the two of them spent about a day to successfully refine the celestial source into a puppet. After successfully controlling the celestial source, Yan Hongmei thanked Night Sorrow again. She said telepathically, Night Demon, Yan Hongmei will remember your kindness. If we are lucky enough to leave Mass Burial Starfield in the future, I will be there whenever you need me. Okay. If anything happens, I won't be so courteous. Night Sorrow said politely and then flew to the others with Yan Hongmei. Then, he helped Yuan Tianlong, Green Leopard, and the others to refine the celestial source. After all 9 celestial sources were refined, everyone thanked Night Sorrow. Then, Yuan Tianlong said, since everyone has already controlled the celestial source, let's go. Shouldn't we look for a way out together? No one wants to be trapped here forever. But 3 years later, the mass burial starfield will arrive. If we go out now, we can only travel for a year at most. Moreover, we have already scouted the surrounding dozens of years. There are no clues at all. I think we should wait for 3 years when the mass burial starfield arrives, then we can look for a way out together. Green Leopard said. Like the others, he wanted to leave mass burial starfield as soon as possible. But when he thought about the mass burial starfield, he suddenly felt that there was no point in looking for a way out now. Upon hearing this, Wanren frowned. You're right. I was so excited when I refined the celestial source that I forgot about the mass burial starfield. It seems like we have to think about it in 3 years' time. What do you mean by that? Hearing that, Yi Shang said in surprise, we've already refined the origin of the stars, so we can do as Yuan Tianlong said. We can control the stars to leave the scorching sacred land directly. When the mass burial starfield arrives, we can use the celestial source to hide. That's right. If not, what are we doing? Yuan Tianlong added. Green Leopard's words just now had confused him. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone on the scene finally came to their senses. Night Sorrow was going to travel with the celestial source to look for a way out. Can this idea be realized? Yuan Tianlong, who thought that Night Sorrow was going to bring the celestial source to look for an exit, asked. I have communicated with the celestial source, this idea. We can use the celestial source as a battleship. Yi Shang continued, in addition, there's one more thing that needs to be investigated. Should we split Starfield test a celestial source to look for a way out? If we find a way out away burial Starfield. I think it's better if we stick together. That way, we can at least take care of each other. If there are powerful star beasts in the mass burial Starfield, we can fight them together. After all, if we cooperate, the benefits will be lost. Wanren was the first to speak after Night Sorrow finished his sentence. He and King Brute were the weakest among the cultivators present. Naturally, they hoped that everyone could stick together. This was also a form of self-protection. After he finished speaking, he quickly received everyone's approval. They felt that it made sense. After all, the mass burial starfield was very vast. If the 3 groups flew in different directions, even if they could find the exit, they would not be able to contact the others. All right. Since everyone wants to stick together, it's decided. Let's set off now. Night Sorrow saw that everyone had reached a consensus. Then, he let the celestial source puppet control his celestial source to move forward. The rest of them followed closely behind. They had been traveling for 3 years. Just like before, they did not find any valuable clues along the way. Together, they encountered the mass burial starfield. Because everyone had refined the celestial source into a puppet, they could resist the mass burial starfield as they wished. This time, they had an easier time than before. They did not use any energy at all. When the mass burial starfield was over, everyone laughed. They felt like they had been reborn. To them, the mass burial starfield was no longer a problem. This was the best thing that could happen. After that, Night Sorrow led the group on their journey again. They continued to move forward in the same direction. This time, they had been drifting in the mass burial starfield for 100 years. They only stopped when the mass burial starfield came again. After passing through the mass burial starfield, Yuan Tianlong said, Everyone, we have been drifting for 100 years. Why do I feel like the scenery is the same everywhere in this starfield? Can we still find a way out? I have been observing along the way. I don't think we have taken the same path. We are not trapped by the entrapment formation. If we keep going, we will eventually reach the end. Night Sorrow replied. Over the past 100 years, the restriction-breaking hammer in his space grotto heaven had been observing the situation around him. It did not find any runes or formations. They were definitely not trapped by the entrapment formation. It was just that the mass burial starfield was too vast. In the past 100 years, Night Sorrow had successfully raised the Desolation Halberd to half-step to Supreme Realm's 2nd grade. At the same time, he had comprehended the 100-word mantra to the 87th word. As for Yen Hengshi's superpower, he was almost done with the fusion. He was about to create a new superpower. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yuan Tianlong continued, I have a bad feeling. Is there no end to this starfield? After being trapped for so many years, we finally see hope. Why are you panicking? Are you not as calm as before now that you see hope? Yen Hongmei said. She felt that Yuan Tianlong was not as panicked as he usually was. Normally, Yuan Tianlong was more mature, which was different from the current him. Maybe I have been trapped for too long. I want to get out so badly that I lost my composure. Yuan Tianlong looked at Yen Hongmei and said with a frown. Everyone is thinking the same thing. Follow Boss Night Demon and we will find the exit. After all, we are immortal in terms of lifespan. At this time, Man Wang said with a smile. His current state of mind was relatively good. Hearing this, Yuan Tianlong looked at Man Wang and said with a smile, your state of mind seems to be good. The main thing is that it is useless. We can only resign ourselves to fate. Don't you think so? Man Wang looked at Yuan Tianlong and said with a smile. He was relatively weak and did not offend anyone. He was quite popular. However, at this time, Yuan Tianlong looked at Man Wang and sneered, I feel that your life is in my hands. Chapter 3359. My life is in your hands? Yuan Tianlong, what do you mean by that? Don't forget that we are all under Night Demon's command. Don't do anything stupid. Man Wang warned when he heard Yuan Tianlong's words. He had not expected Yuan Tianlong to behave in such a manner. He was confused and unconsciously distanced himself from Yuan Tianlong. That's right. Yuan Tianlong, what's wrong with you today? Why are you behaving so strangely? If you were joking just now, we can let bygones be bygones. If it's true, I'll stand against you. At this moment, Yen Hongmei also scolded Yuan Tianlong. Ha ha ha. Joking? I am not joking. Die. Yuan Tianlong laughed maniacally and his eyes turned red. He then attacked Man Wang, who was closest to him. The attack was vicious and it was obvious that Yuan Tianlong was not joking. He wanted to take Man Wang's life. Yuan Tianlong, what are you doing? Seeing that Yuan Tianlong was attacking Man Wang, Yen Hongmei immediately attacked him to stop him. At this moment, the barbarian king had been sucked into Night Sorrow's space. Night Sorrow was trying to prevent him from being killed by Yuan Tianlong. Hee. I am going to kill all of you. Yuan Tianlong, whose eyes had turned completely blood-red, had a hint of brutality between his brows. His aura was getting stronger and stronger. At the same time, the cold energy was increasing. Finally, he stopped at the peak of half-step to Supreme Realm. He was only one step away from level 4. This was a level that he had not reached for hundreds of years. After Yuan Tianlong's aura changed, 3 other people started to experience the same change. The 3 of them were Feng Yunlai, Mang Tian, and Tree Supreme. The 3 of them were similar to Yuan Tianlong. The only difference was that their eyes were filled with coldness. It did not look red. Look at their eyes and aura. Their eyes might have been controlled by other creatures in the mass burial ice just now. Night Sorrow, who had activated the sea serpent's eye, observed the changes in the 4 of them. At the same time, he gathered Yen Hongmei, Green Leopard, and Wan Jun together and let Man Wang out. The 5 of them faced off against Yuan Tianlong and the other 3. You are no match for the 4 of us. Prepare to die. The mysterious creature that had taken control of Yuan Tianlong did not hesitate to attack again. At this moment, his posture was much more stooped than Yuan Tianlong's, and he preferred to fight in close combat. And the target he had chosen was Yishan. Feng Yunlai, Mang Tian, and Tree Supreme, who were also being controlled, faced off against Yan Hongmei, Qing Bao, and Wan Jun. Seeing the controlled Yuan Tianlong attacking Night Sorrow, the barbarian king roared and came to help. However, as soon as the barbarian king appeared, his stomach was clawed open by Chao Yuan Tianlong's claw, and his dantian was almost shattered. Seeing this, Night Sorrow frowned and said, "The current Yuan Tianlong is not someone you can fight against. You should recover and help the others. I'll deal with him." "All right. Boss Night Demon, be careful." The barbarian king knew that the gap between him and Yuan Tianlong was too big. There was nothing he could do to help Night Sorrow. So, he swallowed an elixir and recovered. He was going to help Yan Hongmei defeat her opponent, Feng Yunlai. Feng Yunlai was originally ranked 9th among the 9, and his strength was obviously weaker than Yan Hongmei. But after being possessed by the mysterious creature, his body was filled with horrifying cold energy. In the battle, Yan Hongmei was quickly suppressed. It was very uncomfortable. Qing Bao and Yan Hongmei were in the same situation. Mang Tian's strength had also increased greatly. Both sides were evenly matched in the battle. Wan Ren's opponent was Tree Supreme, and he was completely suppressed. When the barbarian king flew to Yan Hongmei's side, Yan Hongmei shouted, "Go and help Wan Ren. The 2 of you fight 2 against 1, and take down Tree Supreme quickly." "All right." The barbarian king, who had wanted to follow behind Yan Hongmei, immediately went to help Wan Ren. With the barbarian king's help, Wan Ren's situation turned for the better. But it was only a stalemate. The 3 battles were all in a stalemate. The mysterious creature that was controlling Yuan Tianlong's body. Looking at Night Sorrow, he revealed a sinister smile and said, "Looks like our battle will be the deciding battle. I know very well that you're stronger than them." "Is that so? Then do you know how strong I am?" Night Sorrow, who was fighting Yuan Tianlong, revealed a cold smile. At this moment, he could feel the cold energy from his opponent, and he was affected by it. Immediately, he summoned the astral source to help him in the battle. With the addition of the astral source, the effect of Yuan Tianlong's cold attack was weakened by a lot. Seeing that the astral source was effective, and Yuan Tianlong did not summon the astral source, Night Sorrow immediately reminded everyone, they seemed to be unable to summon the astral source. Everyone, summon the astral source to fight. "All right. I thought that they could control the astral source to fight, so I did not summon it." Hearing Night Sorrow's reminder, Qing Bao immediately said excitedly. At this moment, he was severely affected by his opponent's cold attack. Now that he had summoned the astral source, the situation turned for the better. After all, the astral source could help them get through the chaotic burial chilling ice. Suppressing the cold in front of them was a piece of cake. Damn it. Seeing that Night Sorrow had discovered the problem, the mysterious creature that was controlling Yuan Tianlong was enraged. It began to attack him even more ferociously. Although the mysterious creature's cultivation level was very high, its attacks were all of the ice attribute, which was perfectly countered by the astral source. It did not pose a threat to Night Sorrow at all. "I did not expect you to only have such combat power." When Night Sorrow faced the mysterious creature that was controlling Yuan Tianlong, he did not expect to be able to suppress it so easily. Now, he was more or less surprised. "It's too early for you to be happy. Even if I don't use the ice attribute, I can still kill you." The enraged mysterious creature took out an ice spear after being suppressed by Night Sorrow and mocked continuously. It then began to fight with Night Sorrow in close combat. "Great. This is the kind of battle I like." seeing that the mysterious creature that was controlling Yuan Tianlong had chosen to fight with him in close combat. Night Sorrow immediately used the ocean-roaming dragon and combined it with the Qingxian divine spear art to fight with the mysterious creature. The two of them were locked in a stalemate for a few moments. Suddenly, Night Sorrow held the Desolation War Halberd and the Golden Heavenly Halberd in his hands and used the Extreme Flame Show Mother Spear. When the Extreme Flame Show Mother Spear was used, the Desolation War Halberd and the Golden Heavenly Halberd turned into two streaks of light and shot towards the mysterious creature. Just as the mysterious creature was about to dodge, Night Sorrow threw out the Wuji Void Cauldron. Chapter 3360. At the same time, he used the Wuji Void Cauldron to suppress the void. Night Sorrow used the Divine Origin Trapping Array and the 100 Words Mantra. He had mastered 87 words, but he could only use 33 of them against the mysterious creature. These 33 words were meant to weaken the creature. After being weakened by the 3 words, the mysterious creature that possessed Yuan Tianlong was restrained on the spot. It could not dodge Night Sorrow's extreme flaming mother-child gun and was hit by it. Boom! Yuan Tianlong, who was restrained, was hit by the attack and half of his body was torn apart. However, because it was Yuan Tianlong's body, Night Sorrow controlled it and did not shatter his elixir field. If Yuan Tianlong's elixir field was shattered, he would be crippled even if he was out of control. Night Sorrow had not given up on his ally yet. Do you think his spiritual body can still control this body? Ha ha ha. Let me tell you, that's impossible. As for the elixir field, I don't need it. After being blasted away, the mysterious creature laughed maliciously. Then, Yuan Tianlong's flesh and blood recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, the flesh and blood he recovered were all ice. After the ice filled Yuan Tianlong's body, there were white and red colors on his body, making him look extremely evil. Are you a holy spirit formed by ice? How dare you touch my friend? I will not let you go. Night Sorrow said coldly when he saw Yuan Tianlong's condition. At this point, he did not even need to use the eye of the sea serpent to know what was going on. What I am is not important. What's important is that all of you will be killed and devoured to increase our strength. Once our strength increases to a certain level, we will be able to break the barrier and leave the mass burial starfield. We will then kill and devour all the cultivators from Killer Heaven Academy. The Holy Spirit that was controlling Yuan Tianlong's body roared angrily. It was obvious that he had a grudge against Killer Heaven Academy. Barrier? There's a barrier here? Hearing this, Night Sorrow's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't show any excitement. He sneered, even if you Frost Holy Spirits can leave the mass burial starfield, you won't be able to do anything because you don't have the strength. At the same time, the thought of capturing the other party alive rose in his mind. He planned to slowly interrogate the other party about the barrier after capturing him. Asking under such circumstances would naturally not yield any useful answers. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the Holy Ice Spirit responded coldly, whether or not we can do anything has nothing to do with you. Because all of you will soon be killed. Because we will continue to grow stronger. But you won't. As soon as he finished speaking, he launched another attack at Night Sorrow. This time, the Holy Frost Spirit's battle prowess was clearly stronger than before. Night Sorrow was clearly having a hard time fighting, but he summoned his astral body's origin to help him fight the Holy Frost Spirit. After an extremely difficult battle, Night Sorrow once again used the Extreme Flame Mother-Child Spear to destroy the Holy Frost Spirit's body. However, not long after, he reassembled his body. After the reassembly, his body was almost completely of the ice attribute. His aura had also become stronger, and he was almost at the level of half-step to 4th stage Supreme Realm. If this goes on, won't he advance to 4th stage half-step to the Supreme Realm when his body is completely of the ice attribute? If that's the case, I'm afraid I won't be able to defeat him even with the help of the astral body's origin. So this time, I must find a way to capture him. At this moment, Night Sorrow glanced at the other battles and realized that the 3 groups were not looking good. Although Night Sorrow's group had the help of the astral body's origin, they were helpless. These frost holy spirits were becoming stronger and stronger after each reassembly process. They were on the verge of losing control. The pressure on the people fighting the frost holy spirits began to increase. They were on the verge of collapsing. Brother Night Demon, if this frost holy spirit's strength increases again, I won't be able to hold him off. Noticing that Night Sorrow was checking on the battle, Green Leopard immediately sent a message to him. He realized that if he destroyed the frost holy spirit again, he would not be able to bear the consequences. This was because the frost holy spirit's strength had increased too much as its body changed. At the same time, they knew that Yuan Tianlong, Feng Yunlai, Mang Tian, and Tree Sage would not be able to come back. The opponents in front of them were real enemies. There was no need to show mercy. Now, they had turned from a team of 9 to a team of 5. You guys hold them off first. Don't attack them anymore. These frost holy spirits are very hard to kill. Let me think of a way to capture this one. The main thing is to capture him, then things will be easier. After Night Sorrow sent a message to Green Leopard, he also sent a message to Yan Hongmei, Wan Ren, and Mang Wang. He told them that they just needed to hold on. As for him, he was thinking about how he could capture the frost holy spirit in front of him. At this time, Little Five suddenly sent a message to him. If you can do it, injure it severely again. When it is regenerating, I will suck it into the eternal divine tower. Its regenerating speed is very fast. It can be done in a second. Are you sure you can do it? If it is regenerated again, the consequences will be unimaginable. Night Sorrow asked seriously. I am not 100% sure. But if you use the merit trap array to trap it temporarily, the chances will increase by a lot. This kind of holy spirit has the attribute of frost. However, it is very bloody and evil. I think the merit energy will be able to suppress it. Little Five quickly analyzed. Upon hearing this, Night Sorrow replied, all right. I will use the merit trap array to trap it. I will also use the Wuji Void Cauldron to cooperate with it. As for how to destroy it, that is none of your business. All right. Release the Eternal Divine Tower. After Little Five finished speaking, Night Sorrow summoned it and hung it on his waist. As for Night Sorrow, he once again battled the Holy Frost Spirit, whose strength had increased. This time, the astral energy source could no longer block the Frost Holy Spirit's attack. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow took out the Silver Dragon Void Shield that Vice President Ji Xian had given him to defend against the Frost Holy Spirit's attack. After that, he looked for an opportunity to use the same trick again. He controlled the Frost Holy Spirit and used the Extreme Flame Mother-Child Spear again. However, this time, the Frost Holy Spirit blocked the attack easily. Hee hee. Do you think the same attack can defeat me 3 or 4 times in a row? What a joke. The Frost Holy Spirit that had not suffered any damage was almost completely immune to Night Sorrow's Extreme Flame Mother-Child Spear. He let out a disdainful smile. I, Pian, want to see if I can shatter you again with the same move. At this time, Night Sorrow roared. He burned his Phoenix bloodline, Yujia bloodline, and Leakin bloodline to increase his strength. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.